following podcast contains possibly triggering material and strong language. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the Ride the Rebellion podcast and Craft Show Digital. The material
it's better. The closer it is, the better it is. So you just don't
for
sound like a chump in case you do turn your head or whatever.
Purposes only.
Yeah, sometimes when people back away like this, chill. Makes your voice sound high pitched. I'm just kidding.
Sometimes you told that to a girl, chickie. Speaking to the microphone. Ma'am.
Oh, you're good. You're not going to hurt anything. You ain't going to hurt nothing that hadn't been hurt before. All right. Yep. I got it set to automatic. All right. We'll just start the show. We don't really do any. There's no fanfare anymore. We just go straight into it. I'll talk to this camera. No fanfare. Welcome back to the podcast. We don't do the intro like we used to. I mean, I guess I could because this guy does, our guest today does technically ride a bike, but I don't think we want to talk about that. There's far more interesting things to do with this colorful fellow.
He also got forced into being a sponsor for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I'm getting my money's worth now.
Break him onto the show. So we got Kevin Black on the show. The thing that's interesting about Kevin, in case you guys don't know, you've heard us talk about it. Like he was
just the one thing, huh?
The most interesting thing. Obviously, he is a fantastic tattoo artist. But if you start digging back, which requires a couple of beverages and usually post ride, and you start getting into Kevin's history as an artist, as a professional rugby player.
Well, be a semi-professional. Yeah.
A semi-pro rugby player. I think he worked in advertising, same space as me, lived in Chicago. Kevin's got and there's more, and hopefully we'll get it out of him.
There's more to couple. You got still finding the limits.
He's recovering from, what'd you rip?
Achilles tear.
An Achilles tear, and then recovered faster than anyone I've ever met. I mean, there's people that still show up with the same knee injury.
I feel like he might have gone out of the Panama Canal and got some stem cell stuff. Is that true?
That would have been nice. Yeah, I didn't know that was an option, actually.
So where does all this, I don't even know where you grew up, because you don't sound like you're from down here, Kev.
Yeah, I grew up in Mobile area.
Did you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you go to metal shows and shit?
Well, the punk shows I used to have, the coffee shop and stuff like that. Vinny and Go-Go's. You're talking about music, right?
Yeah. Did you go to Mutant Speed and any of those guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back in the day.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I grew up. I was a skater back in the day. I was always riding bikes, but I had a skateboard on my back, or strapped to my back wherever I was going.
So you're a couple years older than me. So you would have been Vincent Van Gogh. You would have been Coffee House. Mm-hmm. Probably Coffee House got probably too young for you at some point because it turned into
it was already sort of too young. I was still when I was in high school, we were trying to dial in a student radio from Spring Hill that was playing punk music back in the day.
What?
Yeah, they were broadcasting, I don't know, some students or something, but you could just you could stand out on top of your house and with an FM radio and pick up their broadcasts, and they'd be playing all kinds of stuff. That's how I learned about punk music back in the day.
Don't you think it's kind of weird now that that whole, we talked about it a lot, but the whole concept of if I were, because you and I have talked about music before, but if I were to go to you and be like, hey Kevin, have you ever heard of, I don't know, let's just semi-modern man, The Sword, and you're like, yeah, I know who they are, because you can go find them on Spotify anytime you want.
Sure, yeah.
But back in the period of that, it would have been dude, so it became a friend group thing to pass this cassette.
Yeah.
We're old enough to be cassette peeps, or 7-inch. If it was really good underground punk, you're getting a 7-inch from out of town. I have some weird cop shit that was early pressing. I don't even like that stuff that much, but
yeah, a lot of it came from the skate scene too. You could go to, you get picked up an issue of Thrasher magazine. They'd feature bands, or you watch the videos. You'd be like, who the hell was that? They might have it in the credits, and then you start trying to find them.
I think a lot of the bands that I listened to for real were on BMX videos that I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's seen the Ride Thunder video, but Ride Thunder has the best soundtrack ever of any bike video. So if you ever get a chance, watch that because it's really good. But that was always, my mom would be like, what is this? I'm like, I don't know. It's awesome.
Yeah, but you watch Bones Brigade,
Yeah.
You can pick up music from there. I don't even know if we somehow figured out who the bands were, you know.
Right, because you could
then you go to like, was it Camelot Music or one of those Coconuts, one of those fucking places, and
yes,
they would have Squat, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey,
so
I remember when Shazam came out. Do you guys remember when Shazam came out? Where you could like play that thing or like
you
hit a
hold
button
your phone up,
hold
yeah.
your phone up and like it would listen to the song and tell you what.
Yeah, but the problem is like the stuff like in the really underground stuff. And Kevin is a couple years older than me, and I'm a couple of you. But in that scene,
being generous, I think I'm a good bit older.
well, you don't look it. So
How old are you?
I'm 46.
Okay, I'm 53.
Yeah, 7 years is nothing.
Those are dog years, bro.
No, bro, you're one dog year older than me. But like, if we were looking for that record, you really had to rely on some sleuthy shit in order to find this album that existed somewhere.
Yeah, you had to be creative, or you had to know someone that could order it. You know, you could mail order stuff out of the back of magazines.
No, but my hookup was
another good resource for that.
Yeah. My hookup was the guy. Our store was called On Cue. We would go in there on Fridays. I've told Drew this a bunch of times. The dude that had the lanyard on we'd walk in. He'd be like, guys, you guys got to check this out. We'd always like just grab whatever he would give us and go home. And I'd say probably his hit rate was probably 60%. Sometimes
how many times did he push Limp Bizkit off on you?
No, it was like, Limp Bizkit was like the featured one. So we'd walk past that,
yeah, right.
You know, and we'd go back and it was like Zebra Head and like a bunch of weird late 90s kind of alt music, I guess. I don't even know what that Zebra
Where were
is.
you in the 90s time frame then? Because I would have been, you would have been post college, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I graduated high school in 90, graduated college in 94. I was in England for a year.
Okay, so is this the rugby stuff?
Yeah, I was playing rugby over there.
So how did you get into first off, you're from Mobile, Alabama. Was it like Battleship Rugby? And then
I started there, and then I went to college and played there and kept playing with Battleship, over the years.
Where'd you go to college?
SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design.
Oh, I didn't know that. I never knew you were a SCAD guy.
Yeah.
I was supposed to teach there, but I just chicken shitted out.
It was a pretty small school. There was only like 2,500 students.
In the Savannah side, not in the Atlanta side.
Oh, that wasn't even a glimmer in the eye of the school at that point. It was still pretty small.
So where did the design side, like what got you on, did the scene inform your artwork? Because a lot of us, music and kind of led us into a scene that got me into film because I just well, I'll
go back to the, as far as the art, at least the art I'm producing nowadays is more informed by, punk rock, metal albums, skateboard art, that kind of stuff is the stuff that inspired me early on. I was mimicking that stuff and trying to copy it, and that was stuff that I was inspired by early on. But at some point I was like, I'm going to make a living somehow, in spite of, everything I've been told,
when does that happen?
Yeah. I got to figure out how to make a living. So that's when I started just, doing more commercial design stuff,
And that led you to SCAD, essentially.
No, actually, I got into SCAD because really, I was a terrible student. I had no options. But
or culinary school or SCAD, is that?
I was a terrible student. But, I made a lot of art when I was in high school. And I had a really good art teacher, Miss Lee. She was awesome. And she created the first AP art class just for me. I was the only one in there. And I would skip school most of the time, but I would end up in there and she'd make me draw all this stuff. I didn't even know what I was doing. And she, in the last day of high school, I was hiding in her class because I'd been skipping school. I was about to get in trouble. And she was like, glad you're here. I've been she'd been sending my artwork to all these regional competitions. And she was like, yeah, you got this scholarship offer from this school. I didn't know where Savannah was. I have a clue. And I was just like, yeah, I'll take it. I didn't know what else to do. I had no other options really. Yeah. So I don't know where I'd have been without her, because so that was a big deal. So,
I had no idea. That's you don't hear those many. I've heard those kind of stories before, but not to that level of them, really seeing.
Yeah, but she saw exactly what he didn't see in himself.
Yeah, I was, we were making stupid T-shirts,
Yeah. Oh, damn.
We're still doing that.
I'm still doing that.
Yeah, we're still doing that. But that was a big eye-opening thing. I went to school and I was on scholarship and. That's where, I continued playing rugby there. We actually had a really good rugby team.
SCAD had a rugby team?
Yeah, we won the Georgia Union. Yeah, we were in the SEC with all the big schools, Alabama, Georgia Tech, Clemson, you name it, LSU.
Now, when you went up against because rugby, I had a friend that was she was a Kiwi, so she got me into the All Blacks, and that's funny to say. Back when she flew over, she was like, I got booted off of first class by the fucking All Blacks, and it sounds when you say that in the South,
Yeah,
you got to be very careful phrasing wise.
it's loaded.
Yeah, it is. She also calls they call like in film world, we'll hang black cloth up or get a black flag. In New Zealand, they call those blacks. And she's like, hey, are we going to hang the blacks? And we're like, Kate, you can never, ever say hang the blacks down here again. She's like, what? And we had to explain it. And she turned like bright red or whatever. But anyway, she got me watching rugby. And I knew about it, but watching it is a totally different beast. And those dudes, it's always been legend. Like everyone's like, oh, rugby guys are hard as shit. They're tough guys. But you're playing SEC level. Were you getting up against like those behemoth SEC type linebacker type dudes?
Yeah, you'd have some former or sometimes current football players. And there were there's some big, strong dudes, that, but a lot of it, they were either football rejects, or they were athletes, but they weren't, if they were on scholarship or something, they were going to be playing football,
Yeah.
But otherwise, a lot of guys would show up and play rugby, and they were, big, strong dudes. So,
Did you break anything in that stuff? Because it's notorious for.
I broke my nose a couple times, but you talking about broken bones?
Yeah,
no,
rugby side?
I mean, it's awesome. I saw a lot of gory broken stuff, but I survived it. And I quit playing, maybe when I was in my 40s, and I was like, enough. I made it this far.
Wait,
I made it this far without any serious injuries.
In your 40s.
Yeah.
yeah, like it's the most
That's pretty common. I mean, dudes will play until they can't walk.
I mean, I'm still playing basketball, but I'm also not getting tackled.
Yeah, you're not getting hammered by 300-pound men.
Sometimes I am, but not enjoyably.
That sounds bad either way you put it.
Yeah.
So all right, so then you do that. You go to the UK. That's a paid gig, like over there.
It was sort of paid. I was playing for a Division I team, but I played for a couple of teams. I played for a team in Bath up in the hills. What was that team called? I can't remember the name of it now. It was a club team up in the hills of Bath. And I ended up moving to London and played for a Division I team there. But I was playing like second team, seconds and thirds, so I wasn't like on the payroll. But I got a place to live. They gave me a job.
Dude, still, you got to live in England in your early 20s. What?
Yeah, it was fun.
Did you do
other than the shit weather? But
Did you do artwork or anything? I mean, obviously you were drawing, but did you do anything pay wise over there, art wise?
No, I did some illustration for some magazines, stuff like that. I had a few jobs. I had a job because the team that I would play with, I played for a team in Slough for a little while, which is it's out near Westminster. You know where the original Office?
Yeah.
That's where it was filmed.
Oh, wow.
Ricky Gervais, the original version of Office, it was filmed in Slough. It's just kind of this sort of, humdrum industrial park near Westminster Castle. But anyway, I made a little bit of art, but I worked as like a house cleaner. I had to drive this microbus around London.
This is my new favorite thing I've ever seen.
Packed full of of other foreigners. And, so we would clean these like mansions on Hyde Park. And it was a really weird gig. I didn't know. First you're driving on obviously the opposite side of the road, and there was no Google or anything, so you had this giant A to Z maps, folded out. Yeah, it was pretty hairy. And then I worked as an electrician for a while. We were installing security systems in like all the bank buildings. That was obviously big business, back then. It was like because the IRA was pretty active during the 90s.
Oh, so you were during that window.
Security was like a big deal. And so I got hooked up a job through the rugby team again, with, wiring up these buildings with security systems. So we'd spend all our days in these big buildings, and I would go 3 days a week and go play rugby after that. Did y'all in the slop? It was just terrible weather. Yeah, it's brutal.
Did y'all have any tension from the IRA type stuff while you're
No, it was just
happening.
That was just like now. The security is such a big issue after some shit goes down.
Yeah,
shit had gone down. Not while I was there, but I think it was during a ceasefire or something. But they was ramping up their security. So
that stuff was like I got really obsessed with it for a long time and did a bunch of research on it. And to me, it was always like, it's the weirdest. It's two Christian organizations fighting over who's more Christian, and it's like the weirdest.
Is that always the case?
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. But it was just, to me, it was always odd because you have the Protestants versus the Catholics, and they're all just in this insane battle over what? I mean, it's technically Ireland's freedom, I guess, in some arguments, but like it was just, and I don't know enough about to speak to it beyond that, but like I don't know. It's just always fascinating. So what then got you into? So you left there. You ended up in Chicago at some point.
Yeah, I came back home for a short while, and then I had an uncle who lived in Chicago. He was an engineer for Bally Midway. They make pinball game, the gaming company.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'd been to Chicago a bunch, and so I thought I kind of knew. You know, as a kid, I'd go up there and just hang out with my uncle for weeks at a time, ride my bike, all over Chicago, and
sick.
So I kind of thought I was familiar with the city. I'd never been there for a winter, so that was a fucking shock.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. So I moved out there and got my first job with the Chicago Tribune, actually, and the Tribune Media Services. Doing my first gig.
Illustrations or ads?
No, by that time I was doing like animation, internet, and that was like the rise of the HTML and the internet.
So I didn't know you did. So you were doing like full on like the old Homestar Runner style
web
animation?
Development stuff. Yeah, animation and games and all kinds of crap like that. I did the very first Chicago Cubs website actually. Yeah,
no way.
Yeah, the website because it was the Tribune Media Services. Those are all their properties. WGN.
Yeah,
and Tribune owned the Cubs.
Oh, dude, you were there during the Bulls era.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it was towards the end, but yeah, it was still. I remember running and seeing like Luke Longley and I think it was Pippin, like walking around a department store.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they looked like they were on stilts. They looked like they were on stilts. I mean, they're just huge.
I got to see them in 8th grade in Ohio. We go to DC as our 8th grade.
Like in person, trip. Like you were like standing next to them?
Yeah, we were at a mall, walking down through a mall in DC, and Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc walked right past me. And at the time, I was like a super fan. I'm a basketball player.
Yeah.
Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, and I tell my buddies I'm with, I'm like, you guys, and I like turn around to like go back. We don't have cameras or anything, right? I'm like, they're gone. I don't even know where they went. Like I'm looking all around, like they're right there, and the guys are like, no, they're not. I'm like, yeah, dude, we just walked past them. They're 7 foot tall.
Yeah, big dudes. Yeah, pretty.
It's crazy to me because like that's like a. I mean, obviously during that window, that is like one of the greatest sports scenarios to ever exist on the planet.
Yeah, I was even a basketball fan. I mean, I played basketball in 3rd grade before everybody started, growing.
Yeah,
but yeah, like, watching that was and then being in Chicago, it was still a big deal. But most of that was 96, 97, somewhere in there. It was kind of on the back end of all of it. But yeah, those dudes are still around. Rodman opened a club. I went to that club many times, thought I was going to hang with Rodman.
I listen, this is another random thought about Rodman today, though. I literally just had this thought today. My son and I were talking about former basketball players. So I'm really, really, really surprised not a single pro athlete has ever tried to do that Rodman persona type thing where they dye their hair different colors all the time. And like, it hasn't happened. Like it was him. He's a one-off. Like he's the only one.
Well, is his claim to fame now though, that he can go talk to Kim Jong-un?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Now he's North Korean ambassador.
Yeah. He's got a whole different beast of shit.
But it's just weird to me how no other athlete's done that.
Did you do anything in the music scene up there? Because the 90s, that era of music in Chicago was kind of banging out.
It was amazing. Stuff. Yeah, it was great. It was like, bands like Smashing Pumpkins were big then, but it was, there was a lot going on at the time. It still is, but, at that time, the 90s was pretty hot. Yeah.
Well, you got like the Quicksand and all that, like kind of alt, whatever that alt metal that it wasn't like the Limp Bizkit stuff. It's just
like Disturbed and all. Then they were
they started coming out of that area, and then you get. I mean, even my beloved Russian Circles is out of that space. I don't know if they were around back then, but they were close to it. They were somewhere right around there, early 2000s, I think. But all that vibe up there, and then so you're in that space. What ends up leading you? Because obviously you ended up in an agency, did you not?
For a short while, but then I didn't fit into the corporate culture very well. So
yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to deal with. I didn't have a lot of patience for that, so I was just like, "Fuck it." I went out on my own and hung my own shingle and started, and so there's companies I was working for, just including the Trib. They hired me, to do all their stuff. So I started hiring people, and we had at some point like 20 people working for us. Yeah,
you had like your own full blown like agency.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Was it all just ragtag like people like you, or did you have to get some
people were smarter than me, better at their jobs? Yeah. I mean, but I was in sort of a creative director but slash sales, here's the owner's always the one out there trying to close deals and stuff, so
believe me,
you know what I'm talking about? You have any idea?
Maybe a sketch.
Yeah. So, and you're trying to, maintain, it was a lot, and it was sort of like the rise of all the internet companies and stuff like that, places, things going public, and it was pretty wild time. A lot of money flying around.
You hit, I mean, technically speaking, you're that part of your career is in the heyday of like the boom. Suddenly graphic design has more value. It's not just a poster or a magazine ad. It's an entire website. And that's killer. Like,
and everything was be tied into, other marketing campaigns and stuff. So we did a lot of that sort of cross media, marketing stuff. So yeah, it was cool. It was a good time to be involved with it. The money was just like, it's
stupid money. Yeah. I mean, I was young at that point. So I was just starting my side of things. And like the guys I was working for were like, it was back then 30, 40 grand for a TV spot, but we were shooting on film still. And so like you'd have a 30, 40 grand for a TV spot. And like now that's kind of commonplace, but back then 34 grand compared to today's dollars, you're talking about $80,000, $90,000 for local TV spots is what we were getting down here during that window. Well, department stores. I don't mean like a mom and pop.
Yeah. I mean, we were building a website for, it was $100,000.
Fathom that. Now I sell a website.
You can do it in your free time, on Wix or something like that.
Yeah.
People ask me to do it. I'm like, no, just go do it on Wix. I'm like, but you had to hand code everything,
Yeah.
Didn't know HTML and JavaScript. And so we hand built everything, so.
Now
it wasn't fun. I just happened to be good at it. I didn't want to be doing it. I was trying to be an artist, trying to create shit, but
Did you ever do shows or anything like that? Did you ever enter anything? Did you do installs or shows or anything like outside of like for art? Did you ever take the art like totally personal?
No, I was strict from day one. I was a hard whore. I was just trying to make money.
He's like, I'll do whatever you want.
I was just trying to. That was all I could do. I wasn't good at anything else.
Yeah.
I could. I wasn't. Rugby wasn't going to be paying the bills.
Yeah, right.
So so it was. That was my means of making. It still is. I mean, I still look at it that way. I still make art, but it's still what I do for a living.
But it's a whole lot more permanent.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
Right. So you've talked about it before to me, and I don't know what the dynamic is, but you have buddies up in like you go back up to Chicago for tattoo stuff, right?
Yeah.
Did you apprentice up there or something?
No. I didn't do that until I came back here. I still have a lot of friends there. I go up there all the time, work in shop, my friend's shop, and tattoo my buddies and stuff, but mainly go to see shows and eat food. Nowadays I don't work quite as much. I'll tattoo a few friends, if I'm there, but usually if I'm going somewhere, I'm like, I work enough. I don't really want to go somewhere else and work more.
No, I get it.
Yeah. So I generally try to go enjoy myself.
And the vibe, if people have not been up there, like I tell people all the time, like during the winter it sucks, it's awful.
Yeah.
Chicago any other time, like spring, fall, like all that,
it's a fantastic city.
It is and the culinary scene is ridiculous. The Bears brought some attention to it.
Yeah, music, food. Yeah, the people are super cool. It's still kind of a cow town.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love going up there. I'll go up there 2-3 times a year. So, but I avoid the winter for sure. I did it once a couple of years ago, and I was like, God, this is a mistake.
It's the coldest cold I've ever experienced. Yeah. It cuts like that lake.
You're going to die. Something's going to happen.
It sucks so bad. Yeah. It cuts through. All right. So then you come back here, and then you came back to what brought you back down to here?
It was home. I was spending a lot of time here. Kind of missed it, and my mother was getting older, so I saw that kind of writing was on the wall there. So yeah, I just moved back. And also I was trying to buy a house. Buying a house in Chicago was just
no way.
Yeah, what you could get you'd live in a war zone, so for the kind of money that I had at the time. But so I just moved home, and that was it. It was either going to move here or Colorado or North Carolina. And I moved
all
home.
biking locations. Was
biking
that related?
And mountains, just where the mountains were, So
yeah, had you started mountain biking yet?
Oh yeah, I started in college. The guys, most of my rugby team were avid mountain bikers back in the early '90s.
But back then, though, it would have been, and especially Savannah's fairly flat, right? Mm-hmm. So you guys were
a lot of the kids that go to SCAD are from all over the place. They're all from the Northeast, out Vancouver, California. They're from all over the place. So they brought mountain biking with them, which was pretty cool. And so, yeah, I started mountain biking in like maybe 91. I mean, I had bikes, but mostly BMX stuff, as a kid. But when I got to college, all these dudes were like, they were riding mountain bikes.
I think
it's racing and stuff,
I think the 90s are really crazy because I grew up as a BMX kid. Like we had every BMX magazine there was. Like we rode BMX bikes like crazy. I never once saw a high-end mountain bike ever. Like ever.
The guys that
it was just like
we lived in our house was like the rugby house was like a duplex. And the guys that live next door to me, I'll keep their names, because they could still probably get in trouble. But they ran a fake bike shop out of their house. It was called Smut Cycles. But it was before there was no internet. She couldn't check stuff up.
Right.
So they would basically get all these. I remember they all had top flight bikes with like the newest component, because they would call these parts companies like Rock Shocks was still Rock Shocks back then, and get like demo parts and stuff sent to the shop, on spec, and so these dudes had their parts bin was nice. So my bike was tricked out because I had access to all their stuff that were takeoffs. So I think my first mountain bike was a rock hopper, specialized rock hopper.
Seems appropriate. It was about that time.
Yeah.
That's same as.
I'm pretty sure it was stolen too.
I think that's par for the course. Like you have to have lost a bike to charity.
Yeah,
at some point.
I've lost several, especially in Chicago. It was a hard place to have a bike, especially if you were riding around drinking.
You either lose it or you get stolen.
Yeah,
or both.
Yeah, or both. Yeah, or you forget where you locked it up, that kind of thing. Or you think you locked it up and it's not locked to anything. That kind of stuff happens a lot. So yeah.
Where'd you get on the tattoo side? Obviously that translates to your art, but that's like a whole nother level of, at least to me, like, and I've talked to you about it somewhat before, but to me it's fascinating because like, do you have to talk people out? Like, how do you end up in the tattoo space? And then I'll ask my other questions. Like, how do you end up in the tattoo side of things? Like, what led you? Did you just need a job? And you're just like, are you just that dude that's like, I got to get a job. I'm going to figure it out.
Well, no, I started getting tattooed in Chicago, and I liked, shops and, of course the art and stuff, so, but it wasn't until I moved home, there was just kind of a void. There wasn't a whole lot going on in that scene. And I was like, maybe there's an opportunity here. And I was still doing the computer stuff, and I was really trying to get out of it, and do stuff that's more creative and do the kind of art that I wanted to do, that wasn't commercial or as commercial. So yeah, I just started trying to figure it out. And I was lucky enough, I met a guy that this old biker dude kind of showed me the ropes,
Crazy.
And so it kind of went on from there.
Was his stuff, is it one of those things of like, was his stuff like legit, or was it old biker dude?
It was old biker dude stuff, but it's like back then I was still kind of artsy fartsy, I was like, if it didn't, I had a certain expectation, but it was super traditional biker type stuff. And now it's like, wizards and, brass knuckles and shit like that. Now it's like, that's just the coolest shit ever. But back then I was just like,
what if we
I'm
had
still trying to be, artsy fartsy about it, nowadays that's what I do, that's the stuff that I want to do,
Just back to the old biker stuff.
The bikers type.
I think that happens. Like I look at stuff and all these, like everybody's like on the AI trend of like just losing mind. Your job is AI safe. I'm not going to let a robot.
There's some guys that are, I guess they can apply it.
Yeah, they can use it for the.
It's not going to do a fucking tattoo for you, but it can generate inspiration. So it's like anything. You find a way to use it to your advantage. So it's there.
Have you used it at all? Have you ever?
Yeah, I use it for references, or if I'm talking to someone who has really abstract ideas in their head, I'll use it to be like, I'll plug it in. Like, here's what you're asking for. Fart this out, and they're like, oh, that's not a good idea. Or I'll try to use it to make sense of something, because it's pretty impressive, how creative it actually is. It doesn't give a shit. It's not going to say no. It's going to figure it out.
There is something that AI can't do though. Like it's that personal to person, like communication where you can pick up on what, because I saw it firsthand with my wife. Like she walked in with an idea and she's still talking and you're drawing. And she gets done, and she's like, "That's exactly what I was thinking." And it's like but you can't do that through AI though, right?
Not yet. I mean, it's not like I said, it's not gonna do a tattoo for you, but any more than it'll ride your bike. But it'll
I guess you could type those parameters in and maybe
it's interesting. I'm still trying to I'm not trying to use it to generate art. I'm trying to use it to generate ideas or to communicate with people, or just to silly things like just somebody wants a realistic lion and be like, instead of just Googling something and pulling up first picture off of Google, for a reference, I'll just that's at least it's original.
So to me, it's always, I've been telling everybody, like for me, I have like paid ChatGPT, I have a paid Midjourney. So I can generate keyframes, right? So if we're trying to convey this to a client, I'm like, hey, here's the keyframe of something that doesn't exist. That's why you hired me in the first place. Same scenario.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT I use to shortcut stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I build this whole plan out. I can plug it in there and be like, hey, make this for Kevin's tattoo shop. So I've already built the plan. It just modifies the plan slightly and I still have to tweak it, but it just cut my time in half so I can go do the stuff I want to do, which is be creative. I don't want to do all this admin garbage.
Yeah. I mean, writing stuff. I mean, I used it to we built a website for the shop. And so, I'm encouraging the other guys like, hey, write your bio, for your little page so that people understand where you're coming from. And then they wouldn't do it. So I was like, fuck it. I just use some AI, plugged in a few things about them and generated. I was like, they're going to hate it. So certainly they're going to be, all right, I'll give you something now. No, they were like, yeah, perfect. I was like, fuck.
I mean, I loved it. I sold an ad to somebody that made them cry, and it was 100% AI generated. All I did was put in the general query.
It's fucking good. You can't.
Think about it. It's a blender. It's taking all the ideas at once and throwing them in there and be like, here's your best output. I mean, it's a sum of everything that exists. But like, if that sum was enough to make someone tear up, man, I don't care.
I mean, I've never been able to take anything directly off of like Midjourney or something, but I'll plug in, like my favorite influences, Mobius and Geiger and things like that, and be like,
I'm sure that helps.
And I'll be like, whoa, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'll go and draw, my own thing, but it's in my head.
The weird thing is I do the same thing, but it's usually a text to you like, hey, I need this cat that looks like it's drugged out with crazy eyes. And it's called a Grundy. And then I'll wait to see what comes back.
It's cement like 6 weeks later.
Yeah,
that's the problem. You're the slowest chat GTP on the planet.
Not very, the computing power is not there.
Because I'm not inked at all. So what is to me, the fascinating part of the process is not permanence or any of that. It's the fact that I'm going to walk in there and essentially describe to you what I want to put on my body of some level of permanence, right? Do you ever have to talk people out of like, that's a terrible idea? And follow up, is it a terrible idea because the art's going to be shit? Or is it a terrible idea because they don't really need a tattoo of like boobs across their forehead?
Yeah, there's a little bit of both. Yeah, I mean, it's not every day. Most people, by the time they get to me, they know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
Generally, have appointments and stuff, so I make it a little bit harder. I'm not just sitting in a booth, waiting for somebody to walk up.
Right. And here's your album, pick one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both. Sometimes people have terrible ideas. They have some idea and they get on Pinterest or whatever and they start, looking at stuff and, so it's a little bit of both. And sometimes they have good ideas and they know the process or they're just like, I'm just going to tell you what I want and come up with something. So I'm like, cool. That works pretty good.
Well, I think as an artist, like for you, I'm nowhere near comparing myself to either one of you two as artists. But when I was building wagons, I would tell them like, hey, I have 50 examples out there. You tell me a theme and I'm going to make it. Like, don't try to micromanage it. It's kind of like as an artist, I would much rather have the freedom, like to just, here's what I've done in the past. Now let me do my work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Still people still can be a little controlling. People are like scared to death of getting a bad tattoo. Because there's so many, they're all over the internet. You see them all the time,
Oh yeah.
And so people are really scared of that. No matter how reputable their artist is, they're still worried to death that they're going to get fucked somehow. And,
I mean, I've seen some bad shit.
Which is it's a legitimate concern, but that's why hopefully do your research and, and look at portfolios and know what you're looking at.
The other thing is, though, unless you have friends that are well versed in tattoos or you're well versed yourself, it's hard to spot a really bad tattoo. Like,
no,
not like really bad, but like,
I mean, I've seen some bad ones and people just think, well, they're just super proud of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you can happy with it. I don't,
Yeah, like when I had a friend that was like sleeved and everything. The first time I was around anybody like that, I never really took an example or like into account. And then I started looking at the lines like on people's tattoos, and I'm like, oh wow, those lines are trashy. Like they're zigzaggy or they're not straight, or so now I'm like, now I've become like I have one tattoo and I'm a tattoo snob. That's my next tattoo.
It's the simplest thing.
Everybody watches Ink Master and suddenly they're a fucking expert.
Well, I don't
get a lot
that,
of that. People think that stuff can be done, in the course of an episode. You can do a sleeve.
Yeah, that can't happen.
Well, I mean, that's the iPhone problem for me. Well, my nephew has an iPhone, and I'm like, oh, got it. Let him shoot it. Then.
Go,
I let him go. I just let
cousin
you go.
Mongo in the basement.
That's exactly.
Machine.
Yeah. Do you love that because you have tattoos that are clearly visible where you go places? Everybody's your like because they. Oh man, check out my ink. Where'd you get yours done? Like that conversation.
I usually just don't say. I don't tell them I'm a tattooer or anything. I don't want to have that conversation.
I wouldn't.
Like, I just tell them to go. I tell them the shop name. I'm like, yeah, go check out Manowar.
Yeah,
but I don't tell them I'm the one doing it.
You're like,
they're stuck with it. They're breaking out their phone. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I want to get this. I'm like, I'll wait for that one to come around. Yeah, I don't bother with that. Yeah. It
is kind of weird. Like I do think the further, it seems like the same case with you because I have interests that are outside of my art. Right, I still love my craft, if you will, but I have interest outside of it. So over time, and I'm asking this as a question, has your outside influences of things you enjoy doing shaped the way your business eventually goes? Because you're appointment only. I only take 25 clients now. Like I've gotten to a point where it's like, I don't want to be in the grind anymore. The level of like being able to humble brag and be like, guys, I made $10 million. I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care. Yeah.
I know what it's going to take to make $10 million. Yeah. I would rather just I made good money and I don't even have to talk to you about it because I'm living my life too busy. Did you find that like, your outside influences helped shape your business to be that way?
Yeah. I mean, early on, as you got to grind, you got to get it off the ground. You got to prove yourself. You got to develop a portfolio or, a track record, develop a reputation to get where you're going to be, to get to the point where you can actually, sort of do what you want to do. So, yeah, I mean, to the large degree, I was sick of the, 9 to 5 or, well, for the most part, all nighters, trying to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And, so, and I wanted to go out and travel and ride and do stuff like that. So you can't do that, if you're, grinding all the time. So, yeah, I mean, just the desire to go do something other than sit on my ass and tattoo all day, so riding, really got me there, set it up to where I could take as much time as I needed, fuck off for a week or two.
But make them wait too, right? I mean, you're on a schedule basis, so you can make people wait and be like, if they're in process of a sleeve, I'm sure you're not just like waiting every 6, like it's a 6-week process or whatever it may be to get a sleeve done. You're not like every day waiting.
It's like 6 months, Sandra.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it usually takes a while. Yeah, it's intervals, so you can schedule it how you want. But that's just the way the shop is functioning a little different now. We moved to a different location, so we're taking walk-ins and stuff like that. But we rotate out, so we don't have to sit there all day waiting for somebody to walk in the door. We're still doing just our appointments and stuff. So
I kind of want to be like the guy that like I'm just going to, when I go, I'm going to be like, cause I've seen your work and I think your work's solid, but I want to be the guy that's like a walk in. So I don't have to have the oppression of his schedule in front of me and just walk in.
Yeah, there's something to that. I mean, still, a lot of shops still do that,
Yeah.
I love doing it. It's fun, but I don't want to do it every day,
But also y'all's system, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'm not trashing anybody that has the old classic lower back stamp. I'm not gonna, dead name.
Oh, I had one. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, that seemed to be very popular in Panama City Beach.
His lower back stamp saved his life in a shower once in Anniston, Alabama.
What? Well, that was Well, that was just. I think I thought I was diseased.
That's what I'm saying.
I had so many tattoos. So yeah, they were more interested in you.
They were. It was. It was an unpleasant experience that he's giggled about, just like that in the
Just
corner.
like in the corner, he's just laughing.
Kind of hurt my feelings too.
So it's like, oh, that guy must have been in prison. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
He's definitely got diseases. Yeah.
No, the story has never been told on here, I don't think. And now that Kevin's here, I mean, I tell the story all
I'm
the time.
curious to see the collaboration or the corroboration rather of the story as it goes.
It's an awkward intro to the story because we were camping. We were at Fat Tire Fest in Coldwater, and you can shower at their YMCA,
Which is sketch to begin with.
Yeah, it's very sketchy.
Oh yeah.
You've ever showered at the Y, you know.
There's cops that patrol the park where we're camping because they have to keep the homeless people out because we're camping where they were. So
They displaced the homeless for
for sure.
for sure, yeah. So and he's like, I'll show you where the YMCA is so you can take a shower. And I was like, great, like perfect. So we go over there. It's dark down there. We have to go in the basement. There's like it's an old YMCA. You go in the basement.
so
The
dank.
lights-
It's dank in the
dude,
basement.
It's dank. It's
Yeah.
there's
No,
shower.
no windows.
No.
Hey, so
Yeah.
yeah, we go down. There's no one in there. It's dark. So without saying a word, because we're not those type of people, like he goes to one corner, I go the other.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
decided. It's
Yeah.
just what we do.
Well, that's kind of code. I'm not going to be the guy. Like the question, like if you're in a urinal situation, it's 3 urinals,
Yeah.
and there's a dude on the leftmost urinal. I go to the rightmost urinal. The guy that goes to the middle urinal when there's plenty of that guy's
Well,
I'm nothing wrong with it, but yeah,
We're going to
why?
introduce that guy.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
no.
That guy's
Oh,
coming
my
right
God.
up.
So I'm in the one corner. He's in the opposite.
Actually, there's 2 of them.
Trying to get her.
Really?
Yeah, there was 2. So trying to get our shower done, and all of a sudden, I have my eyes closed, shampooing, whatever. I hear the fucking squeaking noise of the. It was like a movie, slow mo, and behind me and then beside me, directly behind me and beside me. And I had long hair then, like my hair was pretty long, and I remember it like pull it apart, and I'm like, the fuck? I look out, and there's literally a dude right behind me and a smaller, no offense, Asian guy right beside me. And I see Kevin over his shoulder, and Kevin's like, and this dude behind me turns around and he's like washing himself a lot. And he's like, what are you boys in here doing? What are you guys in town
Yeah, he
for?
starts
Like,
chatting up. Yeah.
he
Yeah,
starts
chatting him up.
talking to me.
Meanwhile, he was vigorously,
yeah.
scrubbing his junk. Yeah.
Oh my
I was
God.
in the corner just like,
And
what's
I'm in
going
the
on
opposite.
over there? I was going, why are they didn't come over here?
So I'm like hurrying up, like gotta get this shit out of my hair.
Got
Like,
old blue eyes
I'm
over there.
done. I'm done. Like, and they're, old dudes in locker rooms are like that. They're cool with just being butt ass naked, hanging out and talking, obviously.
I get it.
But there was, to put it in perspective, there was probably, I don't know, 20
Yeah.
some odd shower heads in there. So
Yeah,
there
it was.
So there's plenty of room for everybody to be
yeah,
comfortable.
we were down there on opposite ends,
They could have been easily anywhere in the 15 between us.
Yeah.
No, they were cornered me. I was like, damn. I had to go
It
back.
went on for a while.
fantastic.
Yeah, they were still in there
They were in there, yeah.
for a while. Yeah,
I got
after
out
we left.
quick.
I wonder if it was some kind of like Aniston testing scenario. Like they're just trying to size you up to see they're going to
And
rob you later.
I'm pretty sure they weren't part of the festival. They were,
No,
they were
they-
riding bikes. Yeah, they were regulars.
I don't
At the
know what
Y.
they were doing, but it was a awkward situation. So I've always made the joke that I'm going to get tattoos just so that it never happens to me again.
Yeah.
Because they were clearly
Just
scared of his tattoos.
Just get your
everywhere.
giant exit only one, and you'll
Yeah.
be fine.
I should just get the one on my back that says, please use the shower of 5 over or 5 left.
Yeah,
like
that's the way to
arrows
do
both
it.
ways.
Part of the riding stuff that's fascinating, and it's not just riding because you've done other stuff. Because didn't you do like kayaking or stand up paddleboarding?
Yeah, I started doing that in the last couple of years. Of course, trying to race those things too.
That's what I'm saying. Like everything's a race. Like it's
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, well, it's the only thing that'll motivate you to, or for me anyway, it motivates you to actually go out and do it, and just sign up for a race and try not to get humiliated. So you'll go pretty hard.
You've done a bunch of stuff. What's the hardest race you've done? Because you've done some. You did that Omni. I thought was pretty wild at Bump and Grind.
Yeah, that was hard. It was 3 races in 2 days. That was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a
Yeah.
classic. That's like one of my favorite shots of you ever. Where you show up, you have the glasses, no shirt on, just plop into a chair, and just sit there. It's one of my favorite moments.
Oh, you mean? Oh, yeah. When you were trying to.
Yeah, we were trying to
podcasting.
podcast.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
broke that stream in half.
Yeah.
So what are the hardest ones? Do you have any of those that stand out as like being brutally?
I don't know. It seems like they're all hard. If you're going for it, you're leaving it all out there, so they're all really hard in different ways, but yeah, I did a paddle race last year and it wasn't only like a 9-mile race, but it was like a 25-mile-an-hour headwind.
Oh God.
Whoa.
And I was just, I think it was, I had nothing left. It was just nothing left. It was a fun race. It was supposed to be. It was brutal.
But you're just gassed as all get out.
Yeah.
What about what was the other thing you were doing for a bit? Weren't you doing Go Nuts or whatever it was?
Yeah, the Go Nuts. Yeah, the Enduro series. Yeah.
You did that for a couple years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did two seasons. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, how is that stuff? Because like the Go Nuts side of things is like it's categorized. You're in age category and then racing category.
Yeah.
What was your racing cat? Were you in one?
Yeah. No. Well, no. It was basically just amateur and expert, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I started out in the amateur stuff, and then I think the last year I did a couple of the expert races.
But
But I would just look at him like, who, once you get to a certain age, it's like
you and Toby.
Yeah, it was me and Toby for the first year. That was pretty fun. So we did a bunch of races together. So we were in like 40 plus, Yeah. And then I aged out of that. I just kept lying about my age just so I could stay in that category because there was just nobody racing in the 50 plus. Not a whole lot of 50-year-olds out there.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from Shane.
Splatter themselves down on a mountain.
No, I get
Shane Richardson said that too. Like, there's no point in him going to race when there's nobody to race. I mean,
it wasn't worth it anymore. It's expensive. You got every race is at least 4 or 5 hours away. And you got hotels and food and riding for 2 days just to figure out the course. It's still fun, but you're doing it for a 10-cent medal and a pair of gloves that don't fit.
Right? They give you the smalls. It's always like that. They're like, "Oh, let's pull from the prize vault."
The best prize I ever got was like a flask.
Hey, speaking of,
that's pretty good.
If you're listening to this, we're going to have a prize for this podcast. We'll share something. We got a whole prize vault. We really do. We haven't done it for a while.
I thought you were about to drop like Kevin's going to get a free tattoo.
Yeah.
Did we do that all the time?
We did.
Yeah.
We've given
My
it out
choice.
so many times.
Yeah, Kevin's choice. Yeah, that's the catch.
Hey, we have done that on this podcast a lot, though. Back when we did the sponsors at the beginning, we were like, "Yeah, show up to Kevin's, tell him you want a tattoo. He'll give you one.
He'll just give you whatever you want.
Put it
whatever
on
he
my
wants.
tab.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do you are you like pay attention to the modern like the art scene now, or is your focus mostly on like tattoo style art? Or do you look at like kind of the modern trends of any of that stuff? Do you pay attention to that at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. I still just kind of keep going back to the old stuff, looking at, metal albums and heavy metal magazines, stuff at comics, stuff like that. I follow it, and some of it's impressive. Some of it's not really for me, but yeah, I still kind of go back to the old stuff. I just keep.
What's the
drawing
new
from that.
style called? Like stamps or something? You see, like instead of a sleeve, it's just like multiple individual.
Oh, well, that's
tattoos.
that's a little more of like a sailor American
Okay.
traditional way of acquiring
it's called?
tattoos, badges. We call them badges.
Okay.
Where it's just a bunch of small tattoos. We do that. It's a legitimate way of collecting tattoos. It's cool. You can get a tattoo wherever you. That's what sailors did.
Yeah.
Every port of call, they got a different tattoo. So
I've
it's
just
a fun
seen
way.
it-
It's a fun way to acquire.
I've seen it
tattoos.
more frequently than like an actual sleeve where everything's filled in, where there's like multiple individual tattoos on the arm or something.
Yeah. We do it all the time. Mm-hmm.
Is
It's fun because it goes quick and easy.
Yeah,
and
you don't have
usually,
to fill in a bunch of.
you don't have to
You can look like it's a
spend.
complete.
You don't have to spend
tattoo.
8 hours,
Yeah,
trying to map out a whole sleeve or back piece. You just do. You can draw it while they're sitting there. That's a fun way of doing it. But everybody's different. It depends on the look they're after. At the end of the day. So but collecting tattoos over time is kind of a fun way to do it.
Have you done apprentice stuff? Like not you as an apprentice, but apprenticeship thing?
being the master?
Yeah.
Have you gone on to
Just
be
once.
the
Just
sensei?
once, yeah.
Sensei?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of time. I don't know if I'd do it again. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust other people.
Yeah, and it's just different. It would depend. If somebody came in I had lots of people ask, about it. I'm like, do you have any Don't ever do any drawings? Do you have any tattoos? Nope. Don't have any drawings. They just think it'd be a cool job.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right, it's a cool job, but
yeah.
There's
a place for that. I mean, there's definitely parlors, tattoo shops I've seen before where it's like this is for the people that think it's a cool job, and it's just a lot of like barbed wire tramp stamps.
Yeah, I mean that's fun. I mean that's what you're doing. It's
you guys have like
it's a fun place to be, make a living.
You guys have like a code of respect though, because I've never heard you shit talk another tattoo artist.
Art though. Like you're not.
That's a kind of a no.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. No, that's different though. That's different than other art. You go into graphic.
Now somebody walks in my shop and they've got something and they're trying to talk to me about it. If it sucks, I'll tell them. But I'm not going to walk up to somebody on the street and be like and start talking shit.
No, I know that, but I mean, like, I've never heard you speak ill of another artist in that same way. Where you're just like I talk shit. I'll tell somebody. I was like, I think your work's garbage.
To their face?
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh yeah. Well,
but that's my business.
I mean, that kind of thing does exist,
but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm too old for that. I don't care. I don't give a shit what anybody else is doing. Just do my thing.
I think that's always a sign of a master. The next level is like when you just reach enlightenment of your bucket of fucks is so empty.
Yeah.
That you're just like, you've reached this zen point.
Actually, speaking of, can I get a tattoo, a bucket of fucks that's empty?
Yeah.
That would be pretty sweet.
I don't know. I just want a bucket with F's.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
The F's are on the ground.
The F's are on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a hole in the bottom of it. It's just drained. Yeah.
There
I don't, yeah. That's, that just can, it's better to have friends in the business than it is to have, enemies, so.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because artists are like tattoo artists, especially specialize in different things. Like somebody could come to you and want something. You're like, listen, I'm not a great watercolor guy. No, I don't know if you are, but not a great watercolor guy, but this person is.
Yeah. Yeah. We do this kind of stuff. It's pretty frequent. Most of the time, not a whole lot of things you can't do, but you may not want to do it, or you don't have time for it, or somebody else in the shop can do it, so refer it to them. But, yeah, there are sometimes requests. I'm just like,
The craziest thing to me about what you do, though, is that if somebody likes your style and they're really into it, like your ability as an artist, they will find you and they will travel to you. And I had a buddy that run a very specific type of, I think it was like koi related or something like that. I don't know what that style is, but he flew to Hawaii just to get this tattoo. That's it. And then flew back. He wasn't even there long enough to he didn't go on a vacation. It was the purpose of
surfing with a new tattoo.
Right. So he's kind of, so his whole purpose was flying to Hawaii to get this one thing, because of this artist that was right there, and it cost him like $6,000 for a fish or whatever it was. And in my little Jewish brain, I'm like, I'm calculating the count. And I'm like, that is too expensive, sir.
Yeah.
But for him, that level of art was, and it was a gorgeous sleeve. Like when it was all done, he had multiple people work on it.
It was probably in one trip.
No, he went back multiple times. Yeah. So that guy was.
Hey, but there's some weird stuff with koi fish, though, right? Like they have to be certain directions.
That's more of a philosophical thing,
See that stuff? I wouldn't even know that.
Yeah, like the tattoo has to be like the fish have to be swimming up or down.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much that. Those are pretty much your options.
Well, yeah,
up or down, yeah,
right.
Yeah. But what
I want a koi fish.
But yeah, they carry slightly different meaning.
Yeah, from Japan, right? Is that where it's from? Originated.
Yeah, art,
yeah, they do the little tapping art. What's that called? I sound like an idiot.
Yeah, that's tabori. Yeah, that's a particularly brutal way of getting tattooed, but it's real.
That's a lot of tribal stuff.
No, they don't tap it. They just ram that shit in there with a stick.
I think it's the Maori and stuff that do that tapping stuff.
The South Pacific Islanders are the ones that do the tapping and shit like that. Yeah, no thanks.
I don't know. I just think it's interesting. The reason I was asking about the art is because obviously you're still connected to some level. Do you pay attention to? Are you one of those people that looks at stuff now, music or whatever, and it's just like, the old days were better? Or do you find stuff now?
There are some tremendous artists out there for sure. Yeah. It's just my personal inspiration still comes from, skateboard art and, metal albums and stuff like that, punk art, zines, that's where I
miss a good zine.
Yeah. Yeah. That stuff is amazing. But,
shitty
copy. Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate it. It's definitely good. And I mean, even the tattoo world, there's some, every time I look on Instagram, there's just some new freaking prodigy is out there just blowing my mind. It's amazing.
I
just
stopped
stay off of Instagram.
No, I get it.
I start feeling bad about myself.
Well, no. So my thing is, how do you
sucks.
just like? And I don't want to make this it's not tattoo chat. Were you ever here in Mobile for when? What's that lady's name? She used to have that.
I'm not even. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, okay,
yes.
you can't talk.
Oh
about
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. She's an institution.
Yeah,
for sure.
but she had that show anyway.
Yeah.
How do you
Tattoo
separate?
chat. No, there's nothing on that.
How do you separate yourself? Like, because the thing is, like, when I was doing movies, when I was filming a movie, I would not watch another narrative film, none, because it was gonna influence me whether I liked it or not. So I would only watch documentaries because the process was so different. Do you ever have to like cleanse your palate? Is mountain biking that, or do you have to cleanse your mental palate before you move into something, or are you able to switch that? Because that's something I've always been jealous of people that can illustrate. I can't switch that on and off like that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do. You know, I don't. It's not much is gonna guide my hand. You know, not really. So I don't really worry too much about stuff getting in my head.
Shit,
It's
I
like
envy that,
people
bro.
they can show me all the
Yeah.
references they want, but I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do. You know, what I normally do.
That level. So I just want people to understand
Hope you
something.
like
I'm
really
not.
hard.
I'm not blowing smoke in your ass. That is mentally to me. That is the most difficult because most people's work truly is derivative.
I'm not gonna say mine isn't. I mean, I have
Yeah, but you're
influences,
conscious
yeah.
of not being derivative on a level that's
Yeah,
different.
but it's
than most
still
people.
just, even if I was trying to copy my favorite artist, I wouldn't. It would still just come out the way it's going to come out. I can't really change it that much.
God dang, that's what
You
kills
can,
me.
You can emulate, you can try and sort of fake it, but and maybe you can get away with it. I mean, I've been asked to do stuff, Da Vinci paintings or things like that. You're reproducing something, and that's a challenge into itself. Just to see if you can do it.
Yeah.
But but other than that, I mean, people bring stuff in. They're like, I want this tattoo. I'm like, well, that's somebody else's tattoo. And you're like, but I want it. Like, they've already got this tattoo. You can't have it. And people will. I've had to tell people to walk. Because they just can't get over the idea they can't have somebody else's tattoo. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So,
God bless it.
but you could rip it off, or I'll say, look, I can do that, but maybe a little different. Nope, I want this one. Because again, they're so afraid of getting screwed. So they see this picture and like, if I can get that, then I don't have to worry about any variations that I might not like.
Yeah, but
so
the
they don't
problem
want to
is,
let go. Which because unfortunately there's still people out there jacking people up.
Oh,
yeah, the
There's
ones
still
that
some
terrible
they
stuff.
call it a fun job. It looks like a fun job.
It is definitely a fun job. It's the best job ever.
No, but I mean the people that are like, I don't have any tattoos. I don't draw, but being a tattoo artist seems like a fun job.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Those are the people that end up in
Yeah,
different
but to be fair,
Somebody's going to give them a machine and put them in a booth and let them tattoo.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
But we've had some people,
in this area. It's
we've
not
had some
uncommon.
people roll up in your industry and do the same thing.
Yeah,
Oh, I get it all the
yeah.
time.
They go buy some equipment.
Or
I mean,
don't
that's
buy
like, boom.
equipment, just show up and be like, I think it'd be awesome to learn how to do this.
I know who you're talking about because I saw your eyes change.
It just hit me. And no one listening to this knows what I'm talking about.
No.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, to me it's fascinating because like I look back, I'm not a nostalgic person. So like when I look back at like the influences of the stuff that like certainly movies for me, obviously a big thing. Punk rock was a big thing. I look at it now. I just find less stuff modern that I connect to. So it's harder for me to embrace. And part of it is just like generational, like SNL. If I go back to me, the original SNL, like early years, Dan Aykroyd, when we're back in that, that's genuine comedy.
Belushi, yeah.
That's like legitimate work.
Yeah.
And then you get a period of stuff where there's skits that are really good and moments and Mike Myers, and you get in that world and there's great stuff. And then you hit like some dead spells or whatever. And I use that as a reference because if you talk to any generation, the craziest thing happens in 2 to 3 years. SNL can flip generations on somebody. Like what was funny then is no longer funny. And so to me, I
Actually,
find
and the writers change. You can tell that.
and the youth changes on that side. And so like now I watch it and it's a lot of jokes that are so flat to me that I just can't even, I can't wrap my brain around it. But to them, to the younger people, that they think it has millions of views. And I'm like, I genuinely don't get
that's
it.
good. I mean, stuff's evolving,
No, it's
You know
good.
your place in the world.
Just being an old man,
Yeah.
curmudgeon sitting
Wait,
at my desk.
We've
Yeah,
made
hey,
fun
buddy.
of Jakey Poo on here for years about not leaving past 95.
I don't think that the year of 1995 is the best year of music.
No.
He will argue that, but
He does.
He misses so much. Clutch is his favorite band, and that dude has not listened to an album Clutch has put out since 1995.
What was
So-
that, Elephant Riders or something?
That
like
is exactly what it
that's
is,
yeah.
and he has not gone past it. And there's
It's a good
Or
record.
Fu Manchu,
Good album.
because that's his other really
yeah,
big
Fu
hit.
Manchu's his other one. I can't listen. Fu Manchu
Yeah,
sounds the
sorry.
same over and over again to me.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
that great.
It's it goes back to
But
the
I mean,
same,
a lot of those old bands are putting out new music, you know.
Because they realize, like, damn, we
Yeah,
didn't
like,
save enough for retirement.
yeah.
bro. Some
Yeah.
of that stuff is like he'll be on the show one day, but maybe. But I have a friend that's in a band, and they didn't get enough tour support, and they canceled a tour. And when you see, and this was a big band, when you see that happen, that sucks because you know that means like suddenly you've been at the peak, and now all of a sudden you can't get enough tour support. That just means pre-sales were so bad that there's not enough money to fund you going from city to city.
That's because
Brutal.
everybody in his demographic is like trying to take their kids to travel ball games and shit right now.
No, that's
Yeah.
fair.
The scourge of travel ball. Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. I mean, that's the other side of it
is,
too.
yeah.
Is like it all breaks down.
Like
but
if you think about that generation, we're in that. I know what band you're talking about, so I know we're in
Yeah.
that range of like, damn, we got all this.
Yeah, a
other
lot of
shit.
these kids are
Concerts
getting there,
not
getting
my
to
thing.
see bands. You know, Metallica's touring. They're getting to see bands. Like I went to see
Yeah.
Metallica in Chicago over the summer, and there was a lot of like parents there with their kids. They're like,
That's
we
so
wanted,
rad,
we
though,
wanted their
dude.
kids to experience this. Pantera opened up. You know, it was fucking.
was it
amazing.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah. Who was it? Just Pantera and Metallica?
yeah. No, well, there was some other band. I can't remember.
That was Limp Bizkit.
It was something else. I don't
No,
know.
I
It wasn't
don't
Limp Bizkit. I
The,
would
the best Metallica show I ever got to see was, and I've only seen it once, but it was The Sword, and it was Down, which I'm not a huge Down fan. I would have rather Pantera.
Pretty good lineup. Sword,
Not bad.
Awesome.
But The Sword, Down, and Metallica, that show was like, and it was in KC, so it was in a great venue and it was huge. And yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I went to Louder Than Life, which is this huge metal festival up in Kentucky, and a lot of easy customers for you.
A lot of repair work.
There's a lot of repair work
cover-ups,
available.
yeah.
And it was good time, but there was also this awkwardness of some of the bands probably should have stopped. And some of the stuff
Yeah.
was like, it started to feel like, at what point do you just get off the fucking stage? Like, you just need to be done. And then some stuff was so old, like in terms of 90s or 2000s metal, you're like, this wasn't good then, and it still ain't holding up. Meanwhile, I do have a buddy.
No
He was-
offense, Trap.
He's like, this band is the best.
Oh,
They're so good. You're like, dude, they're not good.
Yeah.
You're just saying that to be a contrarian right now. Like that.
Yeah,
That kind of stuff is what kills me.
because you got to the front of the stage because everybody turned around and walked away.
Oh my
Doesn't
god!
make them good.
But then some of it was like, there's a band called Architects. Have you ever heard them?
No.
You might. Do you like hardcore at all? Do you like hardcore?
Yeah.
Hardcore. They were legitimately like, at moments I was like, oh, I'm back in like end of high school. I'm about to like rage quit something in life and just be mad at the world. They were that angry. And then other times they just carried enough punk rockness and melodic element that wasn't like new metal. It was its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I found a new band. But I mean, I had to travel to Louisville, Kentucky, and the hurricane came up there. So
No, there's no music
Stupid.
festival is complete without a rainstorm, dude.
it sucks. It is
It's
not for an
always
old
in the
man.
middle.
An old man walking around that shit, and I see all these kids that are covered.
Yeah, you
And
just go ahead and pay for the VIP ticket.
I
You
did.
could sit in the air
I very
conditioned
much
tent.
did.
Yeah,
I did. And
get
it was all old
cocktails,
people with
got an
me.
open bar. Yeah, that's what you. That's
I don't even care. Like, that's the only way I'm going to do it is if I have VIP. But by the time that trip's done, you're like $2,500 into a fucking rock concert. It just is like, well, man. I mean, it was with my buddy, but it's one of those.
So what I love about it is a lot of the bands that I liked, you can pop up and see them. They'll be at like a small venue in Pensacola or wherever along the Gulf Coast now. It's crazy to see, like, I don't remember who was it that I saw. Local H or something was in Pensacola.
Yeah, another
recently.
Chicago band.
They're good.
I love
They're
them.
old. They're your
Yeah,
era
they're
of
still
them.
there. Yeah, they're still
They're good.
play, yeah.
But back when it was just the two piece, early on, the way that guy like, he restrung a guitar with like bass strings and guitar strings, was playing like both elements, and then their drummer was legitly good. That kind of stuff, like, you don't see that as much. The stuff I see now is, especially because I have kids, the pop shit that I'm subjected to every morning is just god awful,
I
and it's
can't
rip offs of other
I
songs.
don't have any kids, but I have godkids, and their music is it's awful.
Yeah, but
really
It's
hard.
rip-offs of other songs. It's derivative works. Like there's a song that is literally the man from the dun, 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 the guy from the man from Ipanema.
Yeah.
The class. It's like SZA or somebody big.
Oh yeah.
You're not even writing your own music. Like that stuff. That's where I get enraged because it's too derivative.
But my son is not listening. He had his headphones on the other day and he was shooting baskets, and I was like, Ronan, what do you listen to? He's like, nothing. Like puts his music away real quick, and I'm like, I asked Avery, I was like, what does he? Because I genuinely have no idea what kind of music he listens to, and I was like, Avery, what does he listen to? She's like, I don't know. All the stuff he listens to, the people are dead. I'm like, what? So I asked him, and she's like, yeah, they either got shot, they overdosed, or something. They're all dead.
This kid's listening to nothing but 90s rock.
No, it's like it's hip hop or like rap, but I'm sure that when I say their names, you guys, Juice World, have you heard of him? It's a rapper that got OD'd, and then the other one is
I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing at the fact that I've never heard that.
And XXX Estacion is the other one that got shot while he was trying to buy a motorcycle. Dude, listen, I looked it up. It's really not that bad, but it's still like, what are you listening to, dude? But he knows all the words to all of it, and I'm like, but Avery, on the other hand, has no clue about anything. She's just singing in the shower and doesn't even know the lyrics.
I mean, that's how I think my oldest daughter just repeats it. But then I think back, and now like then I'm older, I look at it and I'm like, shit, the stuff I probably like I remember when Porno for Pyros first came out, and it was a song Pets, right? And Perry Farrell, we all know, is a nut job, lunatic. I was so obsessed with Porno for Pyros, even though it wasn't heavy, it just was so weird, and he was in that alt scene, that I remember my parents driving me to some stupid store to buy it on cassette, and at the time the single was only out. Do you remember single cassettes?
Singles were the best, dude. The
Wait,
little
single
cardboard
cassette?
slide. They slide.
Yeah,
in the
that's
cardboard.
it. It was like literally just a card. It had one or two songs. It had A side, B side.
Yeah.
One song either side. And I made them listen to that shit, and they were like, here they are, Beatles fans. And now I go back and I'm like, fucking Beatles are amazing. And my parents are looking at me because Perry Farrell's like, we'll make great pets. And my dad just turns and looks at me and he's like, what is this? It's like, it's music, Dad. You don't understand. And then, now here I am, and I'm like, SZA's ripping off Girl from Ipanema or whatever. I don't know if I can blame her.
But I think that the problem is now with a lot of music, it's it's all digital. A lot of the sounds that they're doing,
Yeah, it's all
not
sampled, and
It's all sampled.
what do they call it when they
I don't know.
normalize their voices and
Oh,
stuff?
yeah, the auto-tune.
Auto-tune, yeah.
Not punk, though, and that's the one thing I can go back to. Like, you can find new punk that's still playing sort of old, and you can tell that it is the poorest band ever in the poorest recording studio ever. And to me, that rawness is something that, like, I can't listen to it forever, but that rawness just
it's not they can't afford to overproduce it either.
Right.
So it's got that raw,
And
Steve
we know
Albini
because
kind of
we hung
sound.
out with some kids of the new hippie punk generation that were like, we like cassettes because of the impurity of it.
also
Like
the fact that they can't skip tracks. That blew me away.
We were with them when they were like getting cassettes.
excited
And we
about
were like,
cassettes.
what are they playing them on?
I don't know.
Walkmans. They find vintage Walkmans. I ain't even making this shit up. It's no different than vinyl stuff. Like I love the concept of a record, but I stopped collecting records because what am I doing? I'm not going to listen to all this shite. So then it's like, why do I have all these? Like, so every once in a while I'll find a soundtrack. So I focused on one thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to buy soundtracks because that's what. If I went through and tried to pull all the shit and I went back, I mean, there's records in there of like Mighty Mighty Bosstones from when I was on tour with the Bloodhound Gang and we stopped in Chicago and I bought a record and I know where that record came from. That's the only reason I'm keeping it. I don't listen to the Bosstones anymore.
Well, I buy my friend. I have friends that have bands, and mostly in Chicago and some around here. But that's where they're not producing CDs anymore. I mean, they put stuff online, Bandcamp and all that stuff. But they make records. I'm like, I don't have a record player anymore. I buy the records.
I used to love the compilation albums.
I drank your fridge one.
Oh no, yeah. You guys remember the compilation albums? Like the Vans Warped Tour always put out a double disc every year. Like they'd be like
all the bands from the tour.
Yeah, all the bands from the tour. So then you get a hit of all of them, and then you're like, oh wait, they're cool. I'll find their.
Do you remember the big black school bus at the on the Warped Tour?
Yeah,
the one that folded out on
yeah.
the stage. They had punk rock carrying. That was my buddy's. One of the guys I played rugby with in college.
No way.
Yeah, he was a massive mountain bike ride. He had like the first Yeti I ever saw.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, back in
And he was
those
on.
days.
He just did all the tour stuff with them too.
They built that bus and drove it around.
He
came to Chicago, and we drove that bus all over Chicago.
Oh my
hammered.
God.
Yeah.
I went to like 3 Warped Tour in I think the third or fourth one, or the third one, I think the second or third one had freestyle motocross at it and stuff.
Mhm.
Like where they had those dudes were jumping dirt bikes behind the stages, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
But that at one of them, I mean, I think Trapped was handing out CDs and stickers, and everybody was like, "Get out of here, get out of here." Then Headstrong, that song came out shortly after that.
Well, that goes back to like Lollapalooza, like the real Lollapalooza. The one in Chicago, I don't care for. It's too poppy for me. But the original Lollapalooza, somebody went to the one in New Orleans. So it's like the second or third year, I guess. They came back with a cassette. It was a single looking cassette, but it was the full album. And it was just, do you remember like old government issue shit that was just white label, say the word on it,
Yeah.
cigarettes or whatever?
Yeah.
This just said filter. And I popped that in and my brain just exploded. I was like, because no one had ever heard him. And then you suddenly have this weird industrial that was not just like KMFDM. Did you ever listen to that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that stuff was clangy. This wasn't clangy. Like, it made sense. Like, it was going somewhere. And this is not before he got drunk and took all his clothes off on an airplane or whatever the hell that story is. Someone to take his picture or whatever that crap is. Like, it was legit. That kind of stuff, though, to me, finding music parallels finding a tattoo artist. That's like the last vestige of this stuff to me in some ways. Because, like, I can go find music now, but the algorithm supplies me with plenty of good shit.
I'm always amazed.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, this is pretty good.
I do get messages from you or from Pat or from Aaron and like music, like, hey, dude, check out this song. Or John Mackey. John Mackey has the greatest, because he listens to like Russian and Korean rap and stuff. And I'll get like, what is this? And I'll be, okay, this is kind of cool.
Meanwhile, it's like completely anti-American sentiment, burning
Propaganda.
flags.
Yeah. Yeah, you're on the list.
Yeah. But I'm in this weird, I've told you I'm in this weird like EDM world right now. And I don't even know why. I've never really been in the but I listened to it today while I was riding and I was like, oh my God.
My writing music has changed substantially over the years.
Oh yeah. So what is that? What do you go to on that stuff though?
Well, it used to be this like Judas Priest, speed metal, stuff like that,
Yeah.
It's, but now it's, going back into like 70s stuff,
Yeah.
Slow ride.
Yeah, it's a fog hat,
Yeah, because now what happens is when I hear that stuff, I'm like the nuance of what they were doing back then, and I know it's all analog. I'm like, good. I have an Edgar Winter record in the one with Frankenstein. I forget the name of the album, but you go back. I listen to that record. I'm like, this dude. Yeah, he was a good guitar player, but everybody else was equally as good. He just happens to be really pale, so they gave him a record and put him on the front of it. He's the pastiest motherfucker you've ever seen. But like that old shit like that, I don't know. I just find that kind of stuff interesting because it's rare to get it, and it's still that stuff feels handmade versus digitally made.
Yeah, for me it was like sometimes I go a little too hard.
Yeah,
if I'm listening to any certain type of music, I might be going a little hard. Get a little ahead of myself outside of my skill range. Dial it back a little bit with some, some.
That's what worries me about Dale being. Pretty soon he's gonna have glow sticks hanging off his shit. And I'll see him and be like, "What's up?"
Yeah, he's been wearing those Jinkos pants,
just doing all that stuff. I don't know if he wears the Jinkos, he could be. We'd be like, Dale. Are you talking about clowns a lot?
Oh no! Hey, they're coming to the Soul Kitchen, Mobile, Alabama.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are. We should go. I don't know why we're not.
I don't want to get murdered.
We're not going to get murdered.
Yes, you are.
Juggalos aren't killing nobody.
Yes, they do.
No,
they're scum.
Do you not understand that might be the greatest viewing pleasure? And music's not horrible.
Oh my God! Have you actually ever listened to it?
Yeah. But to watch what's going on, that music matches what you're watching.
Oh, okay. Well, in fairness, it's a soundtrack for absolute white trash. But like,
yeah, if you're sitting there at the bar just getting plowed.
Listen, if we have any Juggalo fans that listen to this podcast, go fuck yourself. I'm not even gonna. There's no way
you're gonna have a mob. You're gonna have a mob of Juggalos here tomorrow.
That's how I get murdered.
Yeah, that's how you're going down, man.
We weren't gonna kill you, but now we got to.
No, we're not violent, huh?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I've
got some Juggalo lyrics. I know them.
None of this has surprised me for some reason. Is that an Ohio thing?
I don't know.
Is it an Ohio thing?
I don't know.
They do. They used to have the Juggalo Fest. Was in Ohio for years.
There's also like spin-off Juggalo Fest that are like ICP doesn't actually come, but Juggalos show there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they show up. Juggalos show up, and they do their.
It's
own
like
thing.
that kid though. Like people used to love that boy that would be like, "For all my juggalos and juggalettes," and then he runs and does some stupid. You ever seen that
That's
shit?
hilarious. That
It's an
guy's
Instagram
awesome.
kid. Yeah, but he's doing it for the juggalos. Whoop 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 whoop. That's what they do. They just go around. There's a guy, Andrew Callahan. No. It's not Andrew Callahan anymore. Anyway, there's another guy that does that, and he goes to all of these insane things, and they all love him. And he can walk in the hood. And he's a tall white guy. He can walk in the hood, and like everybody, he's just something about this guy. He has such charisma that he just oozes cool enough to be in any situation. Well, it literally is him, and then he brings a bunch of like black influencers to. I mean, ICPs mostly. I mean, it's mixed, and they're very open, but it's mostly whites. And this dude is very put together. This guy that's and he is. You can tell he is looking around like waiting for that rebel flag to come up or something. And then all of a sudden, here comes just a group of like black dudes that are all just like whoop whoop, and they all love this skinny white guy. They're all good. And then the next episode you watch on YouTube, and this homeboy is literally walking through. Is it the west side of Chicago? What's the bad side of Chicago? South side. He's walking.
No, west side.
West side of Chicago.
I mean, south side's that's Irish, Irish and black, but yeah, west side is.
That's the opinion. Tough one. Yeah, I went to a film thing up there in 90. You were there. It would have been 98 or 99, somewhere in there. I got up there for a job to go to this thing, and we were in the studio was in the west side. Is it the industrial on that side a little bit?
Yeah, there's some of it. Yeah.
And it was like a warehouse, and we're just walking. Two dumb rednecks from Alabama, just like walking through the west side of Chicago. Yeah, just looking dumb as shit. Secretly, in our backpacks is like camera lenses and stuff worth thousands. We just didn't. On Mobile, we don't have to do nothing. We get along with everybody down here.
Mm-hmm.
We had no fucking clue.
No,
So, Kevin, what is the real pizza of Chicago?
Oh, definitely Pequods.
Oh, damn.
Pequods. Yeah, anybody in Chicago will.
Which is
will
tavern
tell
style.
you
Which is
that.
tavern style, right?
No, it's Chicago style.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
What about tavern style pizza? Because they always talk about tavern style being big.
Which is
Yeah.
like what Ohio is more like.
Yeah, tavern or pub style, whatever. Yeah, I mean that's that. I don't know. I mean, there wasn't that big of a thing, but there was only one place. It was a family-owned place I used to go to get it, and that place sold. They sold the property. The family it had been there for like 60 years. They sold the property, and poof, they're gone.
That
So,
shit's wild to me.
yeah, it happens all the time.
Dude, I just had something. We should open up a pizza place called ICP.
Oh Lord.
Insane Clown
Kevin could do
Pizza.
the Kevin
And
could
he
do the
make
art.
it art.
Mm-hmm.
He said,
That's
And all of our
I got that
servers-
on camera. I got the whole sequence on camera.
Wait,
That's the contract.
That's
our servers are wearing Jinkos, like we do the whole thing. But we're not juggalos at all.
yeah, but we could make money that
No,
way.
because it'd be nostalgic for people our age. Like, hey, kids, come here and eat pizza
How
at
many-
this place.
How many juggalos do you know?
Probably more than I should make.
Let's talk about what we've learned on this episode. First off, Dale loves juggalos.
Yeah, Dale's a closet ICP fan.
He's a closet. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a fan.
I mean,
If they have an EDM
well,
album,
clearly
on
not in
it.
the closet about it either. Yeah, you're upfront
I think
about
we
it.
should
I
just make
appreciate
a call. Next time someone sees Dale, you should just walk up and give him a Fago.
Fake
If you really
I have to
love
admit,
this show.
I'm going to have to listen to some my
You
to
do
some
need to
ICP
listen
on the
to
way
when-
home because nothing's
only
coming to
the
mind
old
right now.
stuff. Not the
Dude,
new
their
stuff.
lyrics are so dumb. They're so dumb.
It's awesome.
They're mind-blowingly bad. They barely even rhyme. It's like
They
like
do barely
elementary.
rhyme.
It's elementary rhyme like red, dead. I had a bed, and you're like, what are you talking about?
That's the beginning of their best song.
I don't know. Patty also that works. So I have a 22-year-old guy that works with us. That's my link to what's happening in the world.
That's a terrible link, by the way. I've been around him.
Yeah, but the stuff that he plays, like he sent me this techno thing that's just like cheeseburger. Have you ever heard that?
Uh-uh.
No,
Yeah. It's
I'm not.
oh
on
no,
that.
you have.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
There's some
Maybe.
guilt. There's some guilt there.
Maybe.
There's some
Maybe.
no guilt, but it's this weird electronic.
No. The one thing I was the hot dogs. It's a hot dog thing.
Oh, yeah. It's like that stuff existed, but it was a band called Negative Land. Did you ever listen to them?
Mm-mm.
They're up from the. They have a whole album. If you want to go down a rabbit hole of weird punk that's not speed metal punk, it's not heavy, fast, or whatever. It's an entire album made up of Pepsi samples
because these guys, they got sued. They went after Pepsi for being a terrible company. And they have a whole song that's like, they barely sing, but it's like, I got fired by my job. And then they cut to actual music. Pepsi, the choice of a new generation. Everything bad in the world comes from Pepsi. And it's an entire album of nothing but songs of samples of TV ads.
Very punk rock.
Dude, it's so good. It's art. It's pure art. It's like installation. Have you ever done an installation or anything like that? No interest in that at all?
An installation?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Where you like build a piece of art and just slap it up into
No,
a
not
music?
unless I was getting paid for it. Yeah. I mean,
Hey, he's like,
I've
I'll
built-
do whatever you
built
want.
Signs, sculptures and shit, but I was always getting paid. Yeah.
So what we're saying is that you're the real originator of $20 is $20.
Yeah, art whore. Yeah, straight up. Yeah.
Can you hand paint stuff?
You mean like lettering? And
Yeah.
No, I'm not like a striper or anything like that.
Because that I was talking about that the other day to my son about.
No, that's
like a
that's
lost art.
that's a truly an
It's
art
going
form.
away.
It's
Yeah.
lost though.
It's lost.
Like,
No, there's guys out there doing it.
well, Andy Scott. Do you know Andy? Here in Mobile?
No, I don't know him.
He has
but
a-
Sam,
the
Sam
guy
Gamino, I
downtown.
think, does some of it over in Fairhope. Yeah,
I mean,
there's some guys still doing
to me, it's amazing, but like,
it's mind blowing. I don't know.
Oh,
how
dude,
they
I
do
got
it.
some art done on a wagon by a world-renowned pinstriper. It's pretty freaking sweet.
but to me, there's a weird difference between like the vehicular side of pinstriping versus, because that's a long line.
Yeah,
The door side ones are like, I'm not taking away from it. It's
No.
its own thing, but like when they're pinstriping, that line is 10, 15 feet long, depending on what
dude,
you're
I
looking
got
at.
to watch
yeah, they're on their
him do
feet.
it.
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
riding a fucking skateboard or something.
Yeah,
I
it's
watched
stupid.
I watched him do it, and like just the way, and because the line gets thicker or skinnier, by how his level, like watching him, and he's talking to me while he's doing it, and I'm just like
Yeah,
blown
it's impressive.
away. dude.
And then they're mirroring the same thing on the other side.
Yeah.
perfectly.
My
Yeah.
brain can't comprehend that. I can't even draw a straight line, much less anything else.
Yeah, it's a lifelong commitment of doing that stuff. You're not doing it right the first time. Those guys are.
But I think it's I think you and I talked about this the other day. How like vinyl stickers and graphics have killed that industry. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to find somebody that does it now because I can just make it on my computer in 2 seconds.
Well, that and nobody, again, same kind of thing. Nobody wants to spend the time to master a trade, a
Right.
craft,
Yeah.
that doesn't come so quick,
Yeah,
That's the problem. It's like, if it's not instant, nobody wants it.
Right.
You got to work at that. I mean,
Yep.
really work at it.
it's
And
interesting.
Have talent to begin with. I don't think I can be
Just the
taught that.
will. Just the
I don't know if you
will
could be
to
taught
practice.
music.
Oh, I definitely cannot be taught music. I just said I actually somewhat like ICP for
No,
God's sake.
no,
I'm tone
yeah,
deaf as
clearly.
fuck.
No, I've watched him on a road trip.
Oh, I'm tone deaf as fuck.
He's trying to tap
Oh, dude,
the
I'm like,
rhythm of a song, and it's like a 4/4 beat, just 1, 2, 3, 4, and Dale's like 1, 2.
yeah, I have no idea. But I like a lot of music.
you have a wide range of shitty taste. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't.
I'm the guy that when we're watching American Idol or something, which we don't anymore, but we'd be watching it. I'm like, God, that guy was freaking awesome. That was great. My wife's like, no, he's literally on here because he sucks. I'm like, what? No way. How rude.
It's weird because it's like somebody that's colorblind. Like my brain can't. I don't have
Are you
that.
colorblind?
No, my dad is.
okay.
I once told a lie though for 3 solid weeks at a company I worked for because I just got tired of doing the graphics. I was like, I can't actually. This is hard on me, guys, because I can't actually see it. And I lied based on my roommate, who is now one of the top motion graphics designers in the country, is fully colorblind. All he did was memorize the RGB values, and someone would tell him like green is this or whatever, white is 255 plus. So he memorized those numbers and can get within the range. I mean, somebody like you that's maybe more critical, but for most clients, the dude can get in the range just by plugging in the numbers. And nobody knew for
Pretty
years.
impressive.
He lied about it. But
I'm,
now, I mean, he also married a neurosurgeon, so he's like fucking set for life.
One of my friends had his phone out the other day, and I looked at it. And I was like, damn, your phone's broken? Why is it in black and white? He looked at me like I'm an idiot and was like,
Dad, don't say the hard R.
I almost did. He looked at me like I'm an idiot, and he's like, I'm colorblind, dude. It doesn't matter if it's in color or not. I'm like, oh, my bad. So you keep it in black and white? That makes no sense. That's stupid.
I got to piss.
Yeah, go ahead. Now that they make the like video games will have a color mode.
Yeah, I did see that.
So like it'll change the entire graphic palette. He keeps going to the ladies.
Hey, you got to sit down to pee in there.
That's a sitting pee seat only.
We got the glitter duster.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. May 10th.
Yep.
We're pretty excited about that. It's going to be really
This
fun.
episode will drop right before that.
Yeah,
week
so
before.
please,
This weekend.
if you guys get the chance.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Glitter Duster.
Glitter duster. Please sign up.
That's May 10th.
May 10th. Yeah.
This, which is also Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yeah.
Or the day after. Or
Yeah,
the
day before.
next day is Mother's Day. Yeah,
Correct.
May 11th. Also, you have the Toby Star Wars epic May the 4th Be With You
Mm-hmm.
event
That's going to be fantastic.
over at Bogachito. That's going to be a lot of fun. So if you haven't tried that or been over there before, well worth it. And I believe it's the grand opening of Cortez Coaster. Cortez Coaster.
The new
Cortez
experience
Coaster.
one.
Yeah. And then
then
that's going to tee up.
right after that is Bump and Grind coming up in June.
Oh, God.
The beginning of June.
Are you going to Bump and Grind?
That's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going.
All right. Are you racing?
I'll probably do the enduro and the short track. I don't think I'm gonna do the cross country.
Was the short track fun?
It was fun. Yeah, I mean, it's bruising, 20 minutes full tilt. So yeah, it's
I love short track. It's
You
my
should do it.
favorite. It's
It's
my
fun.
favorite thing
Yeah,
to
I mean,
watch. Though
yeah.
I love it.
yeah. Well,
It
that's
is
the
fun
best
to
part.
watch.
The crowds are right there by the jumps, waiting for someone to eat it. You know.
That was actually good because I had already raced that day and I could relax and
Yeah,
just drink
chill
beer.
out. Everybody's in
and-
their lawn chairs,
Dude,
you
it's
know.
it's
But racing
it's-
it is pretty fun. I mean, racing elbow to elbow and passing and stuff. That's
It's
the fun.
hairy.
That's the fun part of cross country.
Mhm.
Really.
Yeah.
But you're getting to do it on a, it's going to be over in 20 minutes, not
That's
2
true.
hours.
Yeah.
You're going to.
It's also
die out
like
there in
the
the woods
tension, the natural tension of short track is way more interesting because other mountain bike racing, they're sending them way out, they're gone. Like you said, 2
That's
hours.
why it's there.
later.
It's for the spectators. Really, it's not really for the
Yeah.
for the riders.
They should do it. They should innovate on it though. I think there's ways to innovate and make it gnarly.
Short track enduro.
It's
That's
good.
basically what the Rev is.
Yeah, the Rev is that.
That is that. We should
We
start.
have a short track race now, of course.
Yeah, and it's right there by the road. Run
Oh,
power
that's
out
true.
there. It's accessible.
It's a way to do it.
Hey, can we have an EDM DJ?
Oh my God, you are so.
Let's just get an ICP cover band out there.
Oh my God, can you imagine how bad that would be?
my
I mean,
God.
I'm pretty sure all the residents in that area are already,
That's true.
they're into it anyway. So
That's very true.
Well,
Yeah.
the people that definitely decided to break the weld on the gate are 100%
definitely
ICP fans.
juggalos,
That
yeah.
is 100. That is
sure.
a juggalo. That's 100% a juggalo act.
I don't know.
It's just what
You're offending. You're offending Dan. You're offending. We're talking about his people.
I'm just
These are
thinking
his
about
people.
where it is.
They're his people.
I'm thinking about the location of the vandalism.
No, I'm talking about no. We have seen. Tell me that the people that we have seen a guy who chained himself to a tree, juggalo,
Okay, fair.
Tammy-
Juggalo material.
juggalo
Yes.
material for
Yeah.
sure.
They have a song
Tammy,
about him.
Tammy, and
Tank.
Tank juggalos.
Hey, by the way, we don't have a trail yet called TNT, but we will coming soon. TNT. Tammy
TNT.
and Tank.
Who else do we have out there? The rest of the Rev members.
Oh no, the dude. Yeah. Hey, the dude. Remember the guys that rolled up in the? Hey, you guys seen any animals?
Animals. The guy that's like, there's a bobcat knee high. It'll cut your throat. That's a juggalo statement.
Hey,
That's code for juggalo.
The best part of that whole conversation was we're sitting there and there's a bunch of Mountain Dew drinkers in the front and back, and they're smoking their Virginia Slims, and the guy in the back seat.
You guys have had some pretty wild experiences out of the Rev.
No, for real.
I mean,
For real.
he was out there
fact
by
that he
himself.
just called him Mountain Dew. Let me tell you why. Because they sound just like the kid from Talladega Nights.
100%.
It's the worst. You're such an ass. I just took a sip.
So
Oh.
we're telling them about finding the guy chained to a tree, right? And little Johnny gets out the back of the freaking GMC Envoy, and he's like, "Wait, you guys, what's his name? Tommy?" We're like, "No." He's like, "Jerry? No. Steve? No. Bill? I don't know. Jared? Dang it, I knew it was Jared. It was that
It
guy."
was Brett.
Yeah, we're like, "No, dude."
He knew it was Brett after that.
Yeah,
After-
and then the last person he
So
said,
you actually knew him.
but when they drove away, I was like, "Guys, I literally don't know 5 people to name that I would think were tied to a fucking tree."
yeah, but Brett was the last guy on the list.
Yes,
and,
but he, like,
then he did use, he's a hard R. We don't say that word.
not the N one.
Yeah, not the N hard R.
Look, he's confused. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm not from that generation.
It protects you from getting burned in fires. It's a fire.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
we
you.
don't say
I
that
got
word.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I say it a lot.
yeah, but in the
Elon
algorithm,
Musk uses that term a lot. Have you noticed that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He calls it people straight up full and retarded.
oh dang it, the algorithm, damn it.
Algorithms.
We've dodged the algorithm this long.
Well, he just said Elon and the hard R word.
Yeah,
so-
now we're done.
Yeah.
We're demonetized forever
Well.
now. Kevin Black destroying the.
Wait,
I don't know.
we were making money.
No,
Can you get demonetized?
we haven't made a cent.
Can you get demonetized if you're not monetized?
Well, we allegedly forced people into sponsorship and
Yeah.
then dropped them. Like, we dropped them. They didn't even know what we're like. By the way, we don't like you anymore. We're going to a whole new format, and so now we just talk about
Is that
random
the coffee
shit.
people?
All
Well,
of
the
them.
problem is we were like, all right, we're not talking about mountain biking. What if Kevin? I mean, I don't know why you would ever give two shits, but if Kevin Black's like, hey, don't mention me on a show about, I don't know, runners, maybe you got offended.
Yeah, we just don't say our sponsors anymore.
Yeah, you guys. That's a lot of stuff you guys have to navigate.
Not really.
I don't really think about stuff like that.
No, I mean we only do just be out of for respect for you. If it were me and Dale, like I'll be like, hey, just let you guys know our new sponsor's Garage Beer. What are they going to do? They can't
That'd
touch
be
me.
nice. We've been trying to get a beer sponsor for a while. We've
Yeah.
done it with all these. This one's probably too big for us.
Nope. Now that we've said it, by the way, guys, we drink Garage Beer. You should drink Garage Beer. Now that that's done, what's
That's
our
out
next
of the
beer?
way.
Yeah, because we.
What's the
Got, I know
It's
we-
too late.
Yeah, there's been a few of them that cycled through. We were talking
Yeah,
about
you
the
said
other
that.
day. Yeah, like Montucky, and then it's been several.
Well,
Outlaw?
Montucky changed their flavor.
They did. It
Really?
got bad.
Dude, it did. It got really like.
I remember I was going up to that that Raccoon Mountain race. You're like,
Yeah.
well, I've got your e-bike.
Yeah, first off,
Like,
you got me an
that
e-bike.
and a couple cases of Montucky.
That's
But it was
accurate.
good back then.
No, but Tennessee Montucky's different. Up there, it tastes different. I'm telling you, the Montucky in Alabama is ghost brewed because that's what they do. They
They license the recipe or whatever.
whatever that brewery is, whoever's. I think it's. Unfortunately, it's who makes a High Tampa, the Tampa people. Anyway, whoever makes
Highlight?
High.
You mean the game?
There's a beer called High. Have you ever had
Oh
it?
no.
Ooh, good beer, 7%, a little punchy, IPA. Cigar City. I think Cigar City makes it, and it just
It has a weird taste.
it does have a weird taste. We didn't dig it. Then we crushed Outlaw, and
Dude,
then we
have you
found out
seen
that that's the
Outlaw?
beer of
That was
preferred
really-
rapists.
Have you seen Outlaw?
Really?
I don't know, bro. If you watch the ads are like cringy bros that are going to be like super smash and
Yeah.
potentially do some terrible shit.
They're now
Really?
at every gas station, like with sales. Like I was at Circle K today, and it said buy 3 Outlaw 16 ounces, get
They
one
traded,
for $1, and
they traded distributors.
they sold out.
So no, they went from a smaller distributor, I won't say who, to a bigger distributor, and that bigger distributor is like, "Oh, cool, we're just going to leverage this as the cheap ass get drunk beer." The thing is, Outlaw doesn't taste that bad.
No, it doesn't taste that. Garage beer is better, by the way.
Well, the lime stuff is fine,
Yeah.
The
tastes
other
good.
stuff, the light is way better, but they only have 2. They have lime and light, so
and this is Taylor Swift's boyfriend's brother's beer.
both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That kind
know.
of ruined it for me
It
too. I was like,
ruins it. But it's good beer, and it's the same as it's 96 calories and 4 carbs, just like Ultra, and it's better than Ultra.
I know, but it's like it makes me feel like I'm going to have to sing a Taylor Swift song.
No, you don't. At least they're football players. What if they were ice skaters or something?
I know, but they were buttholes.
that would
dude.
somehow be more appealing to me. I don't
Speaking
know.
of,
They're from Ohio,
listen.
so I can give.
I watched an ice skating video recently. Have you seen this kid that has been considered the greatest ice skater of our generation in the world, in the sense that he did 6 triple axel, whatever. That's 3 rotations on ice. That's pretty brutal. If you've ever skated, it's crazy. Then
I've never ice skated.
you have it in Chicago?
Not once.
You know what the hardest
Never.
part about ice skating is?
No, here it is.
Same
Telling your
thing as
dad you are
telling your
not
dad you're
straight.
gay.
You're not straight. Then the kid in the process does a backflip, full backflip. Dude, it's insane. But I also watch wrestling and appreciate the fact that people do that stuff. And neither one of you guys will condone that. So I can see that. Let's look at this
I
face.
have
Look
no,
at
No,
that.
I have
no,
no
you-
problem with wrestling.
No, the only other people that are there are juggalos. And Drew.
There is Juggalo
Yeah.
wrestling, unfortunately for me.
Yeah.
God dang it! I'm not
Truth,
doing
the
it.
truth hurts sometimes. Yeah.
You know what, Kevin? No,
Yeah. Hey,
I'm not a Juggalo.
Actually, you know what? You know what? I need a Juggalo tattoo so I can stay
I've
safe
covered
in
up
the shower.
of many Juggalo tattoos.
I think we desperately need the Protect Your
You can
Parks
do a
version.
Juggalo tattoo, and I'll immediately cover it up for you.
Like, just do it and
Yeah,
then
and then
cover it
immediately
up.
cover it up. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Hey, if this video gets 1,000 likes, Dale will get a Juggalo tattoo, and then Kevin Black will cover it up for him. That's what we're
Kevin
gonna
Black
do.
will do both of them.
Yeah, Kevin will do both pieces of
Yeah,
art.
same sitting. Well, you got to live with it for a while. You know. Yeah.
Oh, God.
30 days of Juggalo. 30 days of Juggalo
Yeah,
tattoo.
just see how the
then
other
cover it
side's
up.
living. Yeah.
Ooh. That's not the other side I ever wanted to live on, but
How they deal with the removal stuff? They just burn it off.
it's laser.
You
Right?
can, well, I mean, either cover it, with something bigger and darker.
Yeah.
Or you get it lasered.
Does it mean something when someone decided like they obviously didn't like their tattoos and then they have just a black sleeve, or is that just
No,
a
not
metal?
really.
Some people have
They're
black
just
sleeves.
they're
though.
just got tired of it and wanted something else. Like you'll
I
see
mean,
a
that
lot.
seems
You'll
like
see
a
a lot
lot
of
of-
old school tattooers will have blacked out sleeves
Yeah,
because they probably tattooed themselves back in the day and didn't really like what they did, so they black it out.
there's that guy from Ronnie, not Ronnie James Dio, but there's that Ronnie. He's from a metal band that's really crazy. I'll remember it later. But like I guess I didn't like it, so now he's like neck down, just black.
Yeah, I mean, big solid black works is sort of a newer thing, sort of neo tribal type stuff. So it's a thing, but usually there's someone's. I don't know. I've had people ask me just to black out a whole limb, but they don't have any tattoos on it to black out. They just want to black it out.
See, to me, it'd be I'd be more obsessed with like the concept of negative space at that point. Like,
Yeah, well,
I wanna
try
black it
talk
out,
them into
but
something or get something.
leave negative
or just
space.
Get a bunch of shitty tattoos and then you can black it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later, like when you get tired of them.
I've seen a ton of like younger dudes, like in their 20s, I guess, but with knee down tattoos, like their knee and everything.
Yeah, you'll
down.
see the kids with tattoos on their hands and their necks, but nothing in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's odd to me.
Actually, I think I played in a basketball.
Well, they look
tournament.
hard with their clothes on,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They take it off and then there's like skinny sunken chests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I played in a basketball tournament one time, and it was the first neck tattoo I'd ever seen. And we were kicking the shit out of this team. And
Clown?
it was a juggalo. Actually, it wasn't. I don't even know what it was. I don't remember. But I remember my friend that was with us was like, dude, what'd you do? Say, fuck society. I'll never work again. Just go ahead and give me a neck tattoo. And I just remember from then on, that's what I thought about neck tattoos. And now it's like not that uncommon.
Now they're at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Now it's not as uncommon as it was then.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I remember the stigma, like hearing the old school of like, oh, the tattoo, that's a bad boy.
Mm,
And now it's just like every teacher in America has a tattoo.
yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's shifted. And it's just like anything else. Like imagine when the Beatles were considered heavy, or let me rephrase this in fairness. Led Zeppelin was considered heavy metal.
Mm.
Shit I listen to now blows them so far away from, as far as like heaviness goes. Not to say anything about their music. I think Led Zeppelin's super talented, but it's a lot of blues. And you listen, but that was like, it's just society progresses. It needs to progress. And eventually tattoos went from being a sign of rebellion to now an art form, arguably, which I think
Yeah,
is
now
kind
it's
of cool.
just, how, not do you have tattoos, but how good are those tattoos,
More relevant.
Or how to
Yeah.
express your personality without words. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the
Visually.
easiest way to do that is whoop whoop.
That's for my
I'm never gonna let it
Is that
down.
not a
now.
word? 2 words?
I don't even know. I'm not gonna let it go though.
I think you should.
I think you should embrace it.
There's no. I'm
want that
not the.
one? Yeah.
I'm not the juggalo or juggalette.
Yeah, sure.
Oh Lord,
No, this is protect your parks.
we're going to protect your parks
You want
territory
one?
now. No, I'm okay. No, I'm
Protect
okay.
your part. Did you say parts?
You are,
That's what our episode's called. Protect our protect our
your
parts.
yeah, that is a way better one.
Yeah.
So Rogan has a podcast with a couple of his buddies, and they just get hammered, and it's called Protect Your Parks, and it's old school Rogan.
Are you still
where he-
saying parts?
parks?
Oh, okay.
Like
I wish I could like queue up things where it just cuts to. Are you saying Pam or Pan?
that'd be funny. So they just go off the rails. Like they just say the most ridiculous things. And it's like old school Rogan before the Spotify deal where he had to watch what he has to say. And it's just refreshing to hear occasionally. People like dudes just having a conversation without having to worry about what they say. And they don't worry. It's actually like,
it's Mark Norman in the background.
Oh, they're using everything.
There's Mark Norman in the background that's just saying like the worst, the apps, and most of the time, I don't catch it the first time. I'm like, wait, what did Norman say? And it's like over, or it's under other dialogue, and he just sneaks one in there, and you're like, dude, that's so offensive.
It's Joe Rogan, Mark Norman, Shane Gillis, and Ari Shaffir. And Shane is like got canceled. He's like, I got canceled. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, but he got uncanceled. He's one of those people that like came back. Like that stuff, that not woke versus non-woke because it's cultural shift, but like that whole idea of like somebody getting shut down for their opinion, especially in comedy, is wild. And then coming back still pre-Trump unwoke era, whatever we are in now, where people are like, DEI doesn't matter. We're destroyed. Like that guy came back and then hosted SNL from it. Like that's insanity to me that in our world of like wishy-washy dog shit, this guy somehow comes out on top and is selling out massive stadiums.
Is he a comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he's
Dale loves him. He's not my all-time jam.
Dale has questionable taste.
I mean, we've established the Juggalo situation.
No, I just like him because he seems like his comedy is just him being funny. It's not like a skit. It probably is a skit. I'm sure 100% is, but like it just seems like that's who you're going to get if you're hanging out with him.
I don't know. Based on stuff that Peyton said, we had a comedian on the show, and it was their business is wild.
Yeah,
it's traded. There's like a lot of trade inside of their business where you have to hand out flyers for so many hours before it's like wacky stuff. But you have to do that for so many years.
What
before,
did he call it? I don't even remember what he called it.
I don't remember either. But you have to do that before you have a chance to then eventually
at the club where you want to perform. Yeah.
But then you got to do that to get like 1 minute or 2 minutes of free bullshit. Like it's the craziest sort of like clown carny situation I've ever seen in my
I was gonna
entire
say
life.
clown's easy.
I know. You got me on. You got me on the. You got me on
those people over here.
I'm so close to I got a whole riff of one of their song lyrics that I know.
Go ahead.
I'm not doing it.
No, we would love to hear you perform it.
I'm not a performer. I'm tone deaf. It's so
That's what makes it better.
Yeah.
You would fit right in.
I can't do it. The fact that I've always remembered that song part as ridiculous. Like all the things that I've had come in my mind. And actually, shout out to Freeze that owns Run and Try. He went with me. My dog passed away a couple weeks ago. And this is actually, it's sad my dog passed away. Funny, he shows up. He's like, man, I'm going to come with you. It was a Saturday night. And my family's all upset, of course. Aaron's like, I want to come with you because obviously your dog died. And we got to go take it. We were going to take it to Med Vet. They do a cremation thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I got some beers, man. Like, so we can have some beers on the way. No, we weren't drinking and driving, but we had some beers. And so we get to the Med Vet thing, and I go in, I pay for it. We're walking out, and Aaron loses it. He just starts bawling, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, but what is great is this is your buddy.
Yeah,
it's not his dog.
Right, it's my dog.
It's your buddy's. Right.
Yeah, and so,
I mean, I watch Dodo videos on Facebook. I'm bawling.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
But I was like, I've had my hand on his back, like, dude, you're gonna be all right, man. It's good. Like, the dog's still in my car. Like, we're driving around the building. We have to get her out and hand her to the nurses. We pull around the back, and the nurses like think that it's his dog because he's the one losing it. And they're like, "Hey, it's gonna be okay."
Imagine? That's so awkward.
Oh, dude, so awkward. But to tie this all back,
you're like,
yeah,
yeah.
I need some
it's
love
my
over
dog. Anyway, to tie it all back in, we started listening to ICP on the way.
Oh my god!
No, for real. And I don't know why. I don't know why it came to our head. I don't know. And he was like, "Yeah, put this song in," and I actually knew the words to it. He's like, how the fuck do you still know the words to this? I'm like, I don't know. Then he started singing. I was like, how do you know the words? Last time you were upset when my dog died. What the fuck is going on right now?
Two grown men, one with the tear streaks,
Yeah,
puffy
his
eyes,
clown makeup's running down his face.
Yeah, dude.
driving back from dropping off a dog to be cremated,
It was-
listening to ICP.
You couldn't
That-
make it up.
That script writes itself.
Yeah, you could, and it was like
It's called Gummo 2.
the whole time, we're coming up Government Street, and I'm like, dude, we should stop at
Did you
Dudley's.
turn it down when you came to the corner? Or
Yeah, well,
chill out.
we paid our
Straight
respect.
from The Office, the whole thing where the guy like shrinks down in the chair.
Hey, we paid our respects when we went past Patches on the corner. We were like,
Don't jack with patches, boy.
we can't go in Patches.
Yeah, you can.
You can go in, you can't come out.
Yeah, patches is for everybody. It doesn't have teeth.
Actually, I have this plan to make a bar hop that we start at the Walmart on Old Government, and you hit all the bars all the way to Patches.
You're
is the
dead,
king.
dude. You're not making it.
That's what I'm saying. It's a challenge.
There's
One beer
actually
at
a
every bar.
legitimate blues club right by that tire shop on Highway 90.
That's Dudley's.
Is it called Dudley's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in there. I've hung out there a good bit.
I told Aaron we should go in there, and he was like, "We walk in that place, they're going to be like, son, we don't sell drugs here. Get out."
No. It's like it's a real juke joint. If you're going in there, like
Oh, okay.
especially if somebody's playing, like you're gonna get real absolute
Isn't that
blues
place on
stuff.
Government?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
What about the med bed?
Yeah,
That's okay.
right beside
Yeah,
that.
all right, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
No,
wondering
no. This is a different spot. That used to
Oh.
be the industry bar. Did you ever get Industry Tavern or whatever it was? A girl named
That
Sarah.
Dudley's place is right beside Medvet or close.
It's not far from there, but this is next to a tire shop. It's on the other side of the street from MedVet.
That's what I'm thinking of.
It's good, dude. It's like a great blue. Like there's legit.
I was wondering about it.
R.L. Burnside played there. I mean, this is legit. He's dead now, but like it's legit. Did you ever listen to R.L.?
Oh yeah,
Back when Fat Possum, remember that when like you had all these punk rocker guys that turned
yeah,
around and-
yeah. He was relevant to the end, man.
he was solid. And
Making
from
new
here,
stuff, yeah.
I don't think the craziest like weird band story I have is from I used to go to Anna Marie Island every weekend. I lived in Tampa for a little while. Anna Marie Island is this really beautiful place if no one's ever been there that has these fishing piers that have beers you can go drink at. We would drink all the way back.
wait, I'm with
Piers?
you.
Have
Piers?
Piers with beers. Yes, you got it.
Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
Track.
we would drink all the way back. Well, we would go to this one bar at the end of the night, and I was with dudes that were like in their 50s. They would just say that I'm their son. I knew them from Ohio. They had places down there. So anyway, we go in this place, and Guitar Shorty's in there playing.
Oh wow.
And so we were like, dude, this is awesome. We're all excited. Like, there's barely anybody in there. We sit there and we watch him, and the bartender goes, "Well, do you guys know who the drummer is?" We're like, "No, who's just a drummer?" She's like, "No, that's the drummer from AC/DC. He lives right down the street." We're like, "What the fuck?" There's like 7 people in this whole place, and we're just watching Guitar Shorty. And I'm like, "Why is no one here?" It's just crazy.
That's the
those
best.
little
But
places.
that's the best music moments. Is
Oh,
like
dude,
you
it was
stumble into
amazing.
that stuff, and
Yeah.
it's just like some random guy is playing with some like that stuff, and it's rare. But
Mhm.
when you get that to happen, like that stuff, that to me is like that's the greatest shit in the world musically. Because otherwise, you go to a big show or whatever, and it's fun and you have a good time, but it's not like that odd little moment where you're like, oh damn, this is something special.
Right.
That stuff's rad.
The only thing that was weird is they kept staring at me. I thought they wanted to fight. I had a Juggalo shirt on. So I was like,
Oh
what the
my
fuck?
god, is that possibly true?
No, the Juggalo is not. The rest of the story is.
Tying it back up.
I've never had a Juggalo shirt yet.
Yeah.
Well, it's about to
Make one.
happen.
A Juggalo on a bike. Kevin, can you draw
It's a
that?
thing that basically describes the rib pretty well. Yeah.
Oh, don't! Why did you? Like that's all I'm going to think about now. Is we enabled? Oh no! Did ICP exist before 1995? I think they did.
Did they? Those dudes are old as fuck.
I think,
Yeah, it's been
I,
around a while.
Jamie?
I
Hit
think
on the goose,
I think
J-Mo.
I think Jake likes ICP.
Oh my god! No
Yeah.
way.
And it's secretly been. That's what the weird. That's why there's no squirrels.
There's no squirrels at the rebellion.
They're in it. I've never seen it. Well, I've seen a snake.
Yeah, well, you brought an
Couple
otter.
Yeah, an otter.
Well, yeah, that was imported.
Imported from Baldwin County.
Yeah, that was a Baldwin County otter.
I mean, what that day is like one of those things where like I didn't even know we had otters. much less Kevin drives up and then they put
That was his first day
Pabst-
ever at the Rebellion.
Was it
We
really?
rode
Yeah.
at Chickasaw Bug first.
Yeah, it was the last day of Chick's Bug, and then
Oh,
that was
wow.
our first day at the Red.
And then he rolls up with a otter in the back of his truck and they put a Pabst in a cigarette. I don't
Dude,
remember
that
where the
was
cigarette
awesome.
came from. Who had a cigarette?
I don't think we had a cigarette. He just had a
I don't
Pabst.
really remember. Yeah,
Was it not a cigarette?
I
No.
don't think so.
Maybe in my fantasies he had a
We were
cigarette.
looking for cigarettes. Nobody had one. It's odd.
Oh, go figure.
Hey, there's been a
Podcast.
few times though. I really enjoy riding with Kevin because we ride a similar speed, a similar recklessness, and he usually will ride longer than I will, which is sometimes rare in our friend group. And so we were at Coldwater, I think, my first time ever there, and it was the night ride for Fat Tire Fest. It was
This is the same, by the way,
same
so people
weekend.
know. Same weekend as the Asian
same
guy.
weekend
and,
that I
yeah,
almost got
the rub and
raped.
tug.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know if it was before or after. You were different. after that episode, you were slightly different. Yeah.
yeah, it was weird. So we go to the night ride, and if you ever go to Fat Tire Fest, the night ride is the most fun.
That's
Honestly,
that's
arguably.
that's the highlight for me.
Yeah. So Kevin was like, "Hey, listen, we've got to get to the front because we cannot be in the back
Or in the
it's-
middle. Yeah.
or in the middle." And I've never ridden at Coldwater in my entire life. So Kevin's like, "Listen, we got to get to the front." So we get all the way to the front.
Well, there's
and
like 90
one
people
kid.
climbing
Yeah.
up there. It's like inchworming up to the top. You can just
Yeah.
see headlights.
And you look back down, and it's nothing but lights all the way down, all
Yeah.
the switchbacks. And the kid in front of us is doing Mach 70.
He's on an e-bike.
Yeah, he's flying.
Oh, right. He's cheating.
So yeah, not cheating. I was just jealous. So we get there, and the guy's like, "We're gonna go all the way to the top." I'm like, "Cool." So we're coming down, and it's so dusty that I can see literally nothing but Kevin's little tail light every once in a while through the dust.
Dear Lord.
It was scary as fuck. Like I got to the bottom, and I was like, "Dude, I don't know how I just survived that." Fast forward to Sunday, we had ridden that same section 3 times. I PR'd it in the dark. Never went faster in the daylight. Than I
I'm pretty
did
sure
in the
my
dark.
PR on both of those trails is both those is at night.
Oh, dude.
That's intense.
So, oh my God. Think about it. You can't see anything but your headlight and dust. And those trails are not easy to ride in the daylight. They're rocky.
No, they're rocky. And it's a lot of loose gravel. Like at least the
We were
was
on
it
the
Bomb
Anderson
Dog?
side.
Okay, so at least Bomb Dog
It
was.
was Trillium and Hair,
Hair,
I think
yeah.
that was, and there's a few people went on up to they did like Talladega and
Yeah,
came
we
back,
didn't go
but
all the way up.
No, it gets rockier the further up you go.
And then the one you like the most is Goldilocks.
Oh, dude. So that
Great trail.
Goldilocks story is pretty funny too, because we rode with Chase and Trey and Kevin. I was like, "Kevin, I've never ridden here. Like, I don't want to get towed into something I'm gonna die on." And he's like, "Just stay on their tire, you'll be fine." I'm like, "Okay." So Trey takes off on Goldilocks,
Oh, Trey's a beast.
and I literally held my breath the whole time. I was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna die!" Like I'm on his tire the whole time, like flying. And when he put his seat up, was probably the first time that I took a breath, like I thought I was gonna.
That
die.
place is legit. I think it's I think a lot of people talk about it, but I don't hear enough people talking about it for my problem with Anniston is I've only ridden it when it's sweatier than sweat
Yeah, you
outside.
don't wanna do that.
And it sucked. That climb, you're so gassed from the
I think on an
oppressive
e-bike, it would
heat.
be really fun.
Well, most things are.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
ICP bike. That's what we should call it.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Yeah.
ICP bike.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up the show so we can keep drinking.
Sounds good.
Kevin, thanks for being here. Is there anything you want to? What's your Instagram? You want people to follow you
Yeah, sure. Man of War Tattoo. That's
at
it.
Man of War Tattoo?
At.
Oh yeah.
I don't do graphics, so if we don't say it, people won't know it.
No.
If they listen to this far, they know. who he is.
People actually listen to this.
No, I don't care. I do this. I do.
You
I
recording?
literally. I do. You laugh, but it's happened.
Yeah, it has, and not to us. Well, to us, but also to professionals in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, shit breaks. That's what you do. All right, we're gonna go. Goodbye. I'm gonna stop the recording before we say anything inflammatory, like 7 hard R's in a row, just because.
I just want to say recording.